Peace, 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 peace. Peace, love, and light to all the American Aborigines. This is your brother, Aboriginal Power. I want to say peace and blessings, grand rising, and love to each and every one of you guys. Make sure you hit the like button as soon as you come into the live stream. I appreciate that. We got 5 people in here. Please hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Bitch up, Mike.
Yeah, truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't, it ain't legalized. Realize, realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Real eyes, realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Real eyes, realize. Real life. Yeah. Slavery was a long time ago. How? Same motherfuckers still here right now. Colonized on our land, they ahead of us. Changed our name so much they scared of us. Children of the sun, y'all don't compare to us. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Talking about America, pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Even up the playing field, bitch, I'm darn. How you a victim, bitch, you a Karen. Cognitive dissonance, you don't need sperm. You got white privilege, so you don't need sperm. Looking at my homeland, man, I can't believe it. Colonized came here, they ain't never leave here. Indians ain't die off cause we here. You ain't gotta lie, just say you won't be here. How you American but not indigenous? 400 years still ain't get rid of us. All Europeans and naturalized citizens made all the Indians niggas on the census. 1492 we was on the fences. Civil rights movement, we was so defensive. Black Wall Street, whites got so offended. Common law rights gave us amendments. Thank God don't speak truth, that's alright. First slave 1619 was all white. 1200 wasn't no continent, all white. Europe named after a black woman.
All right.
Grafted it come from us, do research. Go within, quit listening to teachers. And the Nuki got voice coming out the speaker. Cut off trees that have made us weaker. Really they foreign the shit gets deeper. Whites don't know where whites come from either. I'm Aborigine, we come from the ether. Ruling over us in our land, that's evil. Being colonized right now, black people. Prisoner of war, that's why it ain't equal. Wake up everybody, don't be no shit. Freedom ain't free, really freedom is illegal. And when you can't get mad at this white act like we can't see the advantages, privileges, real ain't written in advantages. Only agree when the godless savages, they want you to think they above us. All white people are
part-time judges.
I ain't no racist, I ain't no sucker, I ain't no African, but they my brothers. Been lied to, got built up anger. You put everything still waiting on the savior. Don't call yourself black, please do me that favor. Black trolling will protect you from a hater. Listening to your oppressors is dangerous. Gave us a Bible and stole our nation. Said we couldn't read what we didn't know the language. Kept us on paper because we didn't see the danger. American Indian, keep the religion. Skin copper color look just like a penny. Wanted our land and you called us stingy. Ain't no Democrats there together, pay attention. We got ancestors but the papers is missing. Kings and queens but you can't remember. Remember who you are, just like Simba. Now they got a vax, we don't want that in us. George Washington is the ninth president, look it up. United States only 10 square blocks, look it up. White people really the minorities, look it up. Courtrooms don't got authorities, look it up. You want me, say stop governing me. Gave me a straw man, it's really not me. Why you don't keep it 100 with me? Why Trayvon killer still walk around free? Made this song for the truth, don't hate it. History was told in reverse, I stated. Reach to the press, somebody gotta say it. I'm taking out of school, that's the reason I made it. History is his story. History is his story. History is his story. History is his story. History.
Let's get these likes up, y'all. We got 29 people in the building. Peace and blessings.
History is his story.
Appreciate everybody coming through. Hey, drop some fire emojis in the chat if y'all can hear me loud and clear. Let's get to the next Jammy Jam. Shout out to my brother Threads 3000. Now we about to play a little Trey Ali, man. So make sure y'all show some support. Hey, I appreciate it if the 33 that's in here can share this on all your social media outlets. I really appreciate that. My voice is still hoarse. It's not gone. Gotta work extra hard just to even let you guys hear me. So peace and blessings to you guys.
Yeah, rhyme so dope, my eyes low. When you move like God, the time slow. I came back for the blacks and John Doe's. Crack open them land patches, they go with them townhomes. What's a native to a native? He $5 dough if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation.
On vacation, yeah.
God's children. Give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you and God are Christians. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English potted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to something.
Reincarnated for ancients, fresh up out the oven.
This the
Message to the black man.
This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the cold. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. You wasn't slaves, you was prisoners of war. And stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the source. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust the pastor who rather side with the master who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get paid and praised by the dollar long as they keeping us stagnant. And niggas think they woke, huh? Like you can change a whole world through a vote, huh? Like slave masters willing to let their slave go, huh? That slave master
was probably your kinfolk, huh? History in reverse.
A black king strategy.
When blacks were your majesty.
They always had your pyramids, but point to where the castles be. Aristocracies with your last name patent accurately.
Shout out to y'all, man. Let's get it.
Yeah. And I ain't even tell half the shit. Like, I ain't even tell a quarter of the shit. I'm just getting started. Y'all niggas rap about busting guns and all this weird shit. I'm trying to get my people back, nigga.
That's a fact. Try to get our people back. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man, that's been supporting the channel. I want to say, man, peace and blessings. We got 46 people in here already, and we got one dislike. So I just want to let you know it's already a hater. So shout out to y'all for getting the haters mad. Only thing we can do is run these likes up right now, and it's gonna make them mad by sharing this and getting as many people in this live stream. If you know, we already got a hater jumping on our shit, and they ain't even ate no breakfast this morning. You understand me? They ain't even ate no breakfast this morning. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to the real ones. We're gonna get straight into the audio. Not gonna hold you guys any longer. We're going to jump straight into some of this audio. Y'all see the title too, by the way. Y'all see the title. Let me shout out to my family in the chat before we go. Shout out to Joe Jackson, Shine Yasharal, Gretchen Helms, Kiwanis the Aborigine, India Goddess, Shine. Who else we got? Hyena Chiefs, Empress Awakening. Who else we got? Empress Makisha, Dawood, Liano, Joe Jackson, Darius Matthews, Rashawn, Brandon Rogers, Copper Tone, Immortal Amaruan, Jamello, Mello, Hello, nothing. Lawrence Burton, Frank Burton. Y'all must be brothers or cousins or something. Shout out to y'all. Arising Aboriginals, Damu Castro, Mr. Skates, and Matthew Simmons. Peace, appreciate everybody for tapping in. Shout out to Stanley E as well. Let's get straight into this bill we have lined up for you guys. Y'all see the world's fair? Let's get into this conversation. Let's get it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to do another Broken Sam here pretty soon, so get ready for that.
Dropping the hand.
So, hey, if y'all can hear everything loud and clear, first things first, drop some fire emojis in the chat if y'all can hear me loud and clear. I need y'all to drop some fire emojis. Let's go.
Guys, this episode's amazing. It's probably one of the best episodes we've ever done. I mean, people are taking shots at Mount Rushmore. And listen, Howie McToskey definitely went for it. I'm sure I just butchered his last name, and I feel awful because he's really great. I mean, this is a paradigm-shattering episode. McCoskey, Howie McCoskey. Yeah, I'm sure I said it right 1,000 times during the episode. I can't express. This is how much I love the show. I bought 2 books during the show on things we talked about. This is how great this show is. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it helps you understand how really important you are and how there's some parasites.
There's 3 books that are floating out there. If you use my name, you can find.
Let's go, you guys.
Is false compared to what might really be true. Studied with a lot of very interesting people around the world to try to learn that knowledge. Then, as you say, had a death experience around 2005. Changed a lot of the work I had done and things I thought I knew or what I thought I was smart on, and that turned a lot of it on its head. Worked through a couple of books on that, and then a couple of years ago got drawn into dealing with history of the 1800s and particularly the World's Fairs, and put a book out on that a few years ago. And so now there's 3 books that are floating out there. If you use my name, you can find them on Amazon. I just get a new one, a new revised edition of the World's Fair book. I've got Howdy McCoskey Talks, which is still running on YouTube. Thankfully, it hasn't been shut down yet. I'm preparing in case it is. And then the various websites with my name. You can Google search and find them. That you can find me.
So let me ask you, what hits more, hockey or stand-up comedy? Like what when it hit, how'd it feel?
I guess the real comparison I guess you could make would be like the end of a game, right? So winning a game with 5,000 or 10,000 people in the stands, or doing a great show with 1,000 people in the audience. Actually, I would think the comedy gave a bigger hit because it's just you and the audience, and you've been taking them through like an hour journey almost with you. And if they're still with you at the end, if they've gone with you the whole hour and they're still there and enjoying the show, it was a feeling that's hard to beat, man. It really was.
I always find that so interesting because you talk to people in bands and they're always like, I don't know how you do it all by yourself. It's always an interesting thing. But
it was stressful. I can tell you, the stress. I retired just after my death experience, actually, and that's because it was just it was so much, the travel, the road, and that first 10 minutes, man, that was tough because if you didn't get them in 10 minutes, you ain't getting them for the rest of the show. So yeah, I usually give them 10 minutes before I just completely burn everything down. I'm like, okay, you want to listen? All right. You want to sit there quiet? I'm gonna give you something to be quiet about, and then I'll just throw the whole building. But that's
like I said. If y'all hear some coughing, this is the Wake and Bake Bill. I know y'all doing some coughing over there. I know y'all doing some smoking, some tea drinking, some coffee drinking. This is the Wake and Bake Show. Hit that like button. It's your brother, Big Aboriginal Power. We're gonna get into the World's Fair, remnants of the ancient empire. Let's get it.
It is what it is. So joining us, welcome Xavier. Apparently you just got internet in Glendale, so congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. I see. Everything's over here.
Armenians don't mess around, bro. But thanks for joining us. We're about to get into a wonderful subject. So I'd like to start with your near-death experience. Near-death experience is one of my favorite topics to talk about. It's really changed my perspective in life and how I just see the world. For me, near-death experiences are a big part of how I practice the model of abundance versus scarcity. And so I'm always very interested to hear about near-death experiences. So tell us a little bit about yours.
Right. Mine was very different compared to the rest of the average one you would hear about, which generally brought people back after, seeing light or beings or friends or relatives, and they come back with this new sense of taking life in gusto and, feeling like they have a new purpose in life. So mine was very different. Mine had been, like I said, I'd been studying hard. I've been a hardcore practicer of all kinds of spiritual practices for 7 or 8 years. I'd worked with a couple of Native Indian medicine men. There was a Korean Zen monk that I spent time with for 6 months, some Qigong teachers from China. So I'd been doing this for six or 7 years. And like I say, I thought I knew something. I thought I'd taken some really big steps. And then I was out in a river area just in front of it's a place called Johnson Canyon in Alberta, one of Canada's largest waterfalls. I didn't know what it was. I'd never been there before. And I was just getting close to the edge. I was sitting there kind of like a meditation. I slipped and I fell into the river. Didn't realize how fast it was moving. And I swam back really, really hard to the shore where my friend was, grabbed his hand, and he slipped and we both fell in. And it was that point I realized actually it's a waterfall like just 5 seconds over the thing. I realized where we were. And it was at that moment there was this realization of, because the current hit, but like when I was still swimming this way, it was okay to get to the shore. But when I slipped in with him, I was sort of this way if I could make my legs like straight up. And so the current just pulled me back. It was really hard. And at that moment, I realized, oh, this is how I'm going to die. And that's all it was. It was interesting. It was just like, I'm going to have front row seats to it. And that's the only thing it was going to be. It was no problem at all. And normally I would have thought there'd be this wish to, I need to continue living, or and it was just, no, it was just this total acceptance of just, oh yeah, I'm going to die now. This is a really strange way to die, but okay, this is the way it's going to be for me. And in that moment, once I had made that acceptance, everything I could think of as me disappeared. So thoughts were gone, memories were gone, hopes were gone, fears were gone, experience, like it just vanished. And all that was left, I would just call, was like this really keen observation ability of what was going on. Time was gone to like milliseconds. So it was like literally. And what was happening is I was getting two things were occurring at this moment. I was getting I'm calling it clusters of information because it wasn't thoughts. It was like literally giant, complete packages of information that would come up, burst in front of my eyes, and then just go away. And I wouldn't need to think about it. It would just be totally understood. Like this would happen a lot. I was also feeling I was getting what I'm calling like a download, like a computer stick was placed in my head, and a whole bunch of stuff was just downloaded into my brain. And actually, since that time, I'm still, you might say, trying to go through the hardware of my brain to figure out what files had been put in my head, because it was just like a mass of information. So this was all happening in like a microsecond. And in this moment of realization, it was like, oh yeah, when all of this was gone, I realized everything I'd ever thought I was, I wasn't. That was all just a fiction. That was just a made up story. And now the story had crumbled, and what was left was what was real. The only thing that was truly real, right?
Yeah, this ain't gonna get into no outer space type shit. This ain't even that type of deal. This guy, I don't know what he's talking about now, but the main topic is Tartaria. So I want to kind of skip it up from here. We don't want to hear about his near-death experiences. You know what I'm saying? We all, us growing up in the hood, and our situations have those every day growing
information.
Up. So
and when I put it all together, I just go, well, I don't have a clue what the answer is, and the true knowledge is saying that you don't know. I feel like that's a very Zen moment to get to, is where you're just kind of like, I don't have a clue of what the actual answer is, but I could tell you kind of what I've learned along the way. And I think that's a very important place to get to. And I think our egos a lot of time get in the way of getting to them. And that we've invested so much into a certain narrative that we end up just like almost wanting to be right instead of do right. And do right is, wow, there's some new information. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, the best way I've come to share it with people is you don't really learn what's true, you learn what's not true. And more you begin to see false and drop it. And that's really the path. People try whatever.
Peace and blessings. We about to get into the Tartaria part. We got 88 people in the live stream. Hey, peace and blessings to y'all. This is your brother Aboriginal Power, and this is the Wake and Bake Show. We will be dropping the link so we can get in all topics. So I want to say, man, listen, I'm smoking on some goddamn Shark Lotto and some Super Runs. I got 2 different woods rolled up. I'm smoking on a Shark Lotto right now. Y'all let me know what y'all smoking on this Wake and Bake. Let's get to the information.
whatever field you're trying to get through. You're trying to find some sort of truth, but if you knew what the truth was, you wouldn't have to do the work. You'd be living it, right? So what you can do is find what's not true, what's false, and let that go. And eventually, you'll let go more and more and more. Life will gets confusing, like you say, because you're letting go of what you thought you knew, and nothing replaces it. You're just letting this stuff go, but you start to be freer, you start to be more open, and then one day you come to something. I can't let that go. I can't drop that. Oh boy, that might be true. So it's very weird. You don't walk into it. You kind of back your way into it as you're getting rid of the garbage. And once you get to the stuff that's no longer garbage, you go, oh, I think I got something true here. So it's really weird. It's kind of backwards how most people do it.
I love that. I totally agree with that as well. It's like I never thought about it that way, but
Is it echo? Y'all saying it's an echo?
I do believe it's like you don't really find out what's true, you find out what's not true, and then you drop that, and then you keep reassessing. And for me, everything is like a jigsaw puzzle, and like what
Is there still an echo right now? Just let me know if it's still an echo. Is it still an echo? We still echoing? If we still echoing, let me know.
pieces click and what don't click, and how, like, am I trying to smash this piece into this puzzle to make this piece fit, or does it just click really easy, which makes me think maybe that might be a part of the puzzle, that this piece fits this.
I wish I had somebody here that could share the live stream for me. I wish I had some people that could share the live stream and hit that like button for me. And if you share it and tag me on Instagram, I will post it on my page and on my stories. Shout out to y'all, man. Drop some fire emojis in the chat, man. Let's get the energies right in here.
And yeah, I completely. Before we get into the other stuff, I want to go. I've been asking this because we've had some really interesting guests on, and I'm like, what is your thoughts on where we live, who we are, what is this whole place? You know, I'm starting. You know, I was talking for a little while that I definitely think it's a haunted house, but I'm starting to think of it more of a haunted house safari. And where the exhibits that they are feeding and manipulating and trying to get a certain reaction out of, and that there's all these actors playing this game to kind of get a reaction from us.
I'd be curious, just before we start then, like Johnny and your friend, I'd be curious if you had to give like a one sentence, what would you describe? What do you think reality is?
Ambot means broken.
Nigga, we don't want to hear what the fuck reality is. Nigga, let's get to the meat and potatoes. I ain't seen no fire emojis in the chat. I might not even hit play till we get this thing flooded with some fire emojis, man. I know my voice is gone, so I can't yell at y'all. But damn, man, come on, support the channel, man. I could be just sitting back chilling, watching something. I just want to get y'all something this morning. My voice ain't even here, you guys. Support the channel, man. Drop some fire emojis.
Where it's some sort of like a Gnostic would say, where it's some sort of prison, like where it's some like our consciousness has been trapped in here and our job is to get out. It could just as bizarrely be we ourselves, the real us, created the simulation to see how we do certain things to get information to ourselves back in some other reality.
We don't want to hear that, nigga. So
2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com. This giant area, I think about that all the time. I also think about that when it comes to the news and what we see on the news. How much of that is real? I mean, we understand something's going bad in Yemen. That's what we're told. And I'm not saying it's not happening, but how do I actually know that is actually going on? We see with this Afghanistan stuff, like so much of that, there is some theater to it. Now, some people I've heard on certain podcasts have said they really love me, but I'm not this authority on this, and I love them too. And I know they were trying to be the nicest they could, and I respect that. Because I was talking about like a lot of this videos coming out of Afghanistan seem like they're staged. And there's a history of this through the media and all this stuff to create a scenario to get us, this group of people, to emotionally react in one way, to send energy into this to create a reality. That's what I believe is going on.
Right. So when you see that the whole reality is doing that all the time. So your kitchen or wherever you're in right now, it's doing the same thing. It is generating a reality.
I'm not about to play with this shit.
Man, there's some theater at work here. And I think that's what we're talking about. And when you bring, is this opening of knowledge? I think the internet is a big part of that, because the internet has started to keep score and allow us to transfer information that we maybe wouldn't have done in the past. And I think that is for me, it's allowing us to keep score of what some of us have learned from the past, and we can recognize when it's happening again. And we go, well, this is what they did before. And people are like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And now we're transferring information more than ever. And sometimes things get away from them. You'd see videos of people who created the internet back in the day, and they would be like, yeah, man, we think there'll maybe be like 10 websites. There'll be like 10 maybe. Dude, I have like 4 by myself. So
yeah, these are people they talk about like they were visionaries, like they saw the future, but really, I mean, they were just
incidental. No clue what was going to go on. But yeah, I 100% agree with that, man. Everything you're saying, Howdy, I totally agree with that. It's reality, and I think it can lead us into what you were talking. What are some of the things you want to talk about? Is like how much of history is real, and how much do they use history to create texture in this reality that we live in right now?
Yeah, we can take this a couple of sort of overviews first, and then you guys take it where you want to take the conversation. But 2 real parts to it. I mean, one is it doesn't matter what subject you choose to dig into, you're going to find that probably it's not true. So it doesn't matter whether it's science, history, religion, government, commerce, or whatever. It's not based on anything. I mean, there is something factual way at the bottom of it.
Hey, shout out to my brother Lil Yost, man, for the Cash App donation. I really appreciate that. We humbly appreciate all the support we get for this channel, y'all. So I appreciate y'all. Shout out to Lil Yost for the Cash App donation, man. Hey, I appreciate you. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Support the channel. Don't let the brother Yost be the only one to support the channel, y'all. Hey, make sure y'all share it on all your social media outlets. Let's get it.
But it's covered with so much garbage that you have to do a lot of work to even find it to start with. So you've got that issue. History is important because it's the one of the fundamental things of why people do what we do today. It's the explanation of we have this kind of government, we use this kind of thing called money, we drive these cars, we have these airplanes, this is how we treat men and women. It's all because we can say, here's the historical story of how we were here, and that's why we are now. Oh, that makes sense to me. Okay, so it's part of just a creation of a story to explain why we are where we are. So if you control the story, actually, you're not controlling the past, you're controlling the present, because you're controlling the thought patterns and the actions of the people in the day-to-day moment. So that's why the control of history and the presentation of it a particular way is so important. Now, we had a second piece that we can take for history, and that is somebody, I think it was when I did a thing with Jay Widener a while ago, we did a thing on the World's Fairs and simulations. And he told me that there had been an article written somewhere that somebody said, if you were building a simulation, or the way you would know you were living in a simulation is if you had no problem digging into in the present and the future, but if you look into the past, into history.
So he's explaining his reality, near-death experience. She should be fading out of this conversation, getting into the meat and potatoes. And I want to say shout out to my other big brother, man, my big brother Libra son, man, for the Cash App donation. I also want everybody in this chat to show my brother Libra son some love. Today is his Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, big bro. Hope you enjoy your day, bro. Sincerely. Y'all show my brother some love in the chat, y'all. Let's go.
Didn't have washing machines, didn't have televisions, didn't have cars. Boy, were they stupid. They had all of these crazy ideas, and don't think about them, don't look into the past. It's just you're great now, and you came from these poor these poor people, as opposed to if you start bringing up the real historical stuff we have, particularly the buildings and the structures and the architecture and the statues and the stonework and whatever else, and you see we can't do this stuff today. it's impossible. It cannot be done. Or to do it, we need the most intricate modern machinery. And what we're missing is the fact that it's the opposite. Humans at one time were unbelievably advanced and powerful and had an incredible mind and heart and ability and connection with the world and with nature and with energy. And as long as people don't know that, they're not going to try to pull that back into the world again themselves. It's okay to be a dumbed down version of a human rather than the complete total version of a human that these ancient, particularly ancient cultures, but even not that far back, that history shows us humans lived in a very different, powerful way. And that's the big thing that's being kept out of our modern world.
I completely and utterly agree with that. They are trying to make us feel like we're just specks of crap in sneakers on something hurling through space, and we have zero power.
Big bro John Bricks. Shout out to the brother John Bricks in the chat,
and our
man.
history,
Shout out to
we
Big Bro.
come from like some fish that just popped some legs out and crawled right. And I just don't believe any of that. And I just think, and I want to get into this with you, like there was a battle between high frequency and low frequency. And for a short time, low frequency has won, and they rewrote history, and they've tried to let us not know how special everything is and how special this place is. And they are, in my humble opinion, losing control right now. And that's why everything has been cranked up. The haunting in the haunted house has been the highest haunting it's been for a long time. And that's done because they do not want us to pay attention to that everybody is waking up to that. There's a small group of people that have been controlling us forever. And some places are way more quick to get this, and other places are way more reluctant. But I think more and more people are starting to get it, man, and that there's a real history out there that is not told to us, and that some of these wars weren't the wars that we thought they were for the reasons we thought they were, that they were actually much, much deeper, and that the good guys and the bad guys aren't as clear as everybody thinks, and that's done purposefully.
Hey, Howdy, when do you think they changed? When do you think they changed history? Like, if we had to go through the timeline of like from zero to 2001, when was it they got a hold of it?
I will say, good question. If I had to make this speculation, I think things were started in the what we know as the 1700s, and of course the whole time thing is hard to figure out anyway. But that's when I think the first rewritings of things were slowly started, but the main element of it happened between 1850 and 1900. So in this time when the World Fairs were going on that I wrote about in my book, what I realized, one of the big things that these fairs were doing were giant historical theme parks. I mean, like literally you were talking about Disneyland on steroids for the history areas. And I think they were presenting a brand new narrative. And when you have no television and you have no movies and you have no radio, the best way to present a narrative into people's minds is to have these giant fairs, send them all over the world, tell the same story, the same message about whether it's ancient Rome, whether it's dinosaurs, whether...
This is where you get into the good part. Finally, y'all. So drop some fire emojis. Let's get it. I'm not going to pause it anymore. I might do some commentary, but let's get it.
It's about what happened in the Middle Ages, what happened at the Battle of Waterloo, like whatever. And you just say over and over and over again. And of course, the people coming to these fairs are richer people. The poor couldn't come to these fairs. So it's all your school teachers are going to go. Your university professors are going to go. The people who have higher educated jobs are going to go. So they're just going to say, hey, I just went to the World's Fair and I got to see gladiators fight in the Colosseum and I got to see what happened in ancient Rome. Well, you got to trust them. It was the World's Fair. World's Fair's got to know what's going on. And the person's just experienced it. They haven't read it in a book. They experienced it. You know, the World's Fair in St. Louis, we can go into real detail how crazy these fairs were. But I'll give you an example. They had 22 historical exhibits at the fair. Each one needed approximately 2,000 to 3,000 actors. 2,000 to 3,000 actors in order to think of the scale we're talking here. So the streets of Jerusalem were one exhibit. 22 streets of Jerusalem, 22 were recreated. They recreated the Holy Sepulchre, the manger where Jesus is supposed to be born. They've got this, they've got that. And they brought over 3,000 people from Israel to, or I guess it wasn't Israel then, right? From Jerusalem at the time, to be actors in the cafes, in the restaurants, in the whatever. And this was continuous. They had the Siberian Railroad. You would get on a railway car, and they would, of course, shake the railway car, and then they'd move the scenery behind you, and then the 2,000 actors would change clothes. You'd open the doors, and you'd be at one stop somewhere on some city on the Siberian Railroad. And you'd do whatever you do there to get back on the car would shake, the scenery would go again, the actors would change the clothes, and you'd be in another city, and another city, and another city. And apparently this was so well done, you would almost think you really did just take a trip on the Siberian Railroad. And this, so you got ancient Rome, you've got Jerusalem, you've got the Siberian Railroad, you've got the German Alps, you've got France in the Middle Ages, you've got Spain in the time of something else, you've got the Italian Renaissance, you've got all of this stuff. What a perfect way to present a historical narrative to the world's population.
Sounds just like
That's exactly when it happened.
Wow. So
yeah, wow.
It's like Disneyland. If you go to Disneyland, there's a Bug's Life, there's Cars, there's Star Wars, and they're all different little, fucking little different world. That's exactly what that is. And everyone's dressed up in their own little fucking outfit.
Yep. So imagine that as a historical narrative. So you've got two things going on with these fairs. So I'll explain what the fairs were in a second, but you've got one of the big parts of the historical exhibit. Then you've got the human zoo. The human zoos were really important, where they brought primitives from all over the world, and you could go see Zulus and various native Indian tribes, and you could see Aboriginals from Australia and primitives from the Philippines, and they wanted to make sure they were shown as savage and primitive as possible. At the Buffalo Fair, they forced the native Indians to go in the Coliseum and kill 700 dogs and then eat them in front of like 10,000 people, because of course you need to show that these Indians are
and this not talking about niggas, they talking about these fake Indians, the ones that they brought in from Asia. And it's ironic that they made them eat dogs. It's ironic that they made them eat dogs. We know that these so-called Native Americans come from Asia. We know that Asians love dogs. Hell, you know what I'm saying? If you see a motherfucking Asian man coming out of a doggy daycare, he probably was there for lunch.
You could see Aboriginals from Australia and primitives from the Philippines, and they wanted to make sure they were shown as savage and primitive as possible. At the Buffalo Fair, they forced the native Indians to go in the Coliseum and kill 700 dogs and then eat them in front of like 10,000 people, because of course you need to show that these Indians are primitive, and as the great white Victorian are, of course, are above these poor. And they would do these. They would have these exhibits where you would go in. I kid you not. The Smithsonian would put up an exhibit with skulls, and they would show various, African skull, Indian skull from Pakistan, all small. And then they would show the Victorian skull, which would be nice and big and round and perfect. And then they would measure your skull, and then they would take your measurements and put them onto the various skulls to see how evolved you were. This is going on at these World's Fairs. This is the kind of indoctrination that's going on. So you've got this part of the fairs, and then you've got the other side of it that we will, I guess, talk about as well, right? Where you're talking about, so what are these fairs for anyone who doesn't know? Well, you're talking about anywhere from 700 to 1,200 acres of massive buildings being supposedly built with towers and domes and huge construction works and lakes and lagoons and electrical trains, and all built supposedly in 2 years. To have this fair that would last 6 months would lose a ton of money. Every one of these fairs lost millions of dollars. And then as soon as it was done, they bring in the dynamite, blow the thing up, and throw it into landfills and go on to the next city and do it again. So what the hell is that? When you add this idea of impossible building times for impossible architecture, and then
there ain't no way they could have built them goddamn buildings in Chicago at the World's Fair in 2 years. That's a motherfucking, excuse my French, that is a lie. That's a flat out lie. Ain't no way they could have built some shit like that in 2 years and then only used it for 6 months and then destroyed it afterwards. Yeah, it don't even make sense.
And destroy it all. But in the meantime, you have this giant, almost like propaganda machine presented in the middle of it. you've got some really weird stuff going on for about 50 years of our history. And I think to answer that's the answer to your question. There is the time frame right about what we call, what people think of as the Civil War, whatever that is, the U.S. Civil War.
That's why I've been trying to tell y'all, the Chickamauga War, the Civil War, all that shit takes place around a certain time. This is when they started the Civil War, is where this country was coming in to destroy our evidence of our old empire. Most of these buildings that you see in your historical downtown with these gold trimmings and this ancient architect with these copper domes, which now they probably green at the top. Now, this is a signature from the old empire.
That's like the beginning point of the creation of what we know of as everything in our world, not just history, but if you start looking for products and government ideas and scientific ideas and commerce and everything, it all sort of starts to appear in the 1860s, 1870s. That's when it all kind of gets cemented in place as kind of, this is how we do things. Something really weird's going on in this time.
Do you suspect that the Civil War is a product of that or somehow related to that, or is that just incidental, the timing there?
Oh, no, it's not incidental. And again, the question you've got to ask is what's really going on there? Because you don't have any battle photographs. You have none.
Yeah.
We have photographs of supposed.
Marcus Adon, appreciate you for coming out to the A and showing some love with us, OG. Appreciate you, big brother Marcus. Shout out to you, God.
Casualties and dead people, but a lot of the dead people don't really look dead in the photographs. They look like they're just actors laying on the ground. So we've got this unknown series of battles that we're not sure. There were.
Hey man, let's get these likes up. You know what I mean? I appreciate it if y'all can share this around on your social medias. Send it around to Instagram. Share this around, please. Support the channel, y'all.
I don't doubt there were some kind of battles taking place, but battles between who and for what, we don't know. We do have pictures of destroyed cities. I mean, like, and these cities, you know, they look like World War II. Like
Atlanta, just devastated.
Yeah, if you're going into Richmond or Atlanta or any of these cities and you're thinking of taking it over, like, okay, we want to take over the city. Are you going to just destroy the hell out of it like that?
Yeah, not even just take over. They wanted it to rejoin that. It was going to be their country again, the same country.
It's your own country that you want to rejoin. And then the second, but to create the destruction you see, because the destruction is like the marble. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, the South in the United States before whatever the Civil War was beautiful architecture. I mean, it's like ancient Rome, ancient Greece is right there. And so you're talking about marble and granite and beautiful. And this stone is like, it's like sheared in half. It's
what other people in America had castles with marble and granite and all these things inside of their residence? Montezuma. Did Montezuma have checkerboard marble floors that would have looked like a checkerboard today? Black and white, gold trimming. Come on, man. A Castillo is a great monument. These was all throughout America, built by the great mound builders, built by the great masonry workers of the Andes in Peru. This is all our history. They've been trying to hide it ever since these motherfucking beasts came over here and and we've been caught up in this prisoner of war. They don't understand. They've been trying to destroy evidence of our old empire and our structure and our building. People don't even know when Hernandez de Soto came to North Carolina and made his way down to Mississippi. He even talked about seeing tribes still actively, collectively building pyramids. In the 1500s, we were still building pyramids in North America, spotted by a foreigner.
It's like, look like a laser's cut it. So how many of these supposed 1860s cannonballs are you going to have to fire at these buildings to create the kind of damage you're going to see? I mean, like with World War II tanks and cannons, it's going to take you a while to create that. So supposedly with this stuff, what are you going to be firing at these buildings for 20 days straight? So the whole story, once you get what little photographic record we have, is already indicating we have a serious problem. Now we can't go further because that's really what we have supposedly photographs from. But it doesn't matter where you go back in history. The story.
The word Castillo comes from the Mayans. The word castillo is the indigenous word for large structure. It's older than any term castle that was used in Europe. I need to do your research.
Doesn't make any sense once you dig into it, but at least with the photographs, it gets harder to prove. So something in certainly in United States history, the Civil War is a marker point of something before and something after, and what's after is the world we've known and like our parents and our grandparents knew as this reality. That's when it was formed.
So interesting. It's just so interesting because basically there's this whole idea about Tartaria and what Tartaria really was, when Tartaria was around, and did they just kind of just like slip in something new right there and then tell us that's what existed there forever, or this is the new existence? And there's just so much that goes on from the official narrative that has so many holes in it. It just doesn't make sense. Like I always talk about nuclear bombs, right? Like we supposedly dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, right? But they moved right back in, which defies the logic of what a nuclear bomb is supposed to do, which is completely devastate a place for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, or for eternity. Radioactive. People moved right back in. It doesn't make any sense at all. When we talk about things about space, now this is a totally different thing. There's so much stuff that doesn't make sense from an official narrative that you go, how's this possible? How's this possible? And with the people who don't want to look into the possibility of shenanigans, they always go, well, you know, this time it just went this way. So this remarkable like luck has to happen either.
So he's breaking down the contradictions within the World's Fair. You see what I'm saying? So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. So let's get to it. Let's continue. I want y'all to hit the like button, support the channel, y'all. Let me shout out to loyaltydetermined.com. Sent the Cash App donation as well, said for the lecture, and I appreciate that. I really do. You know what I mean? I appreciate any support, you know what I'm saying? Especially taking my time out, trying to prepare decent information, maybe something y'all heard, maybe something you never heard, maybe a different perspective or a breakdown that you haven't endured. But either way, we try to bring fire content to the new subscribers and to the subscribers that's been around. So I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Peace and love, nothing but blessings from me. You know, your brother, big Aboriginal power. Let's get it.
Dad, think about that, man.
So he told me 15 years with modern machines and an unlimited workforce. Supposedly this is done in 1891 in 2 years.
And everything in sight here was decimated, right?
Everything in here, in this case, the unknown fires burned it all down, and then what was left of the stuff that didn't burn down, they tore down themselves. This is a small piece. This would be like what, I don't know, 2 acres of 700 acres. 700.
Oh my God!
And the story is almost more improbable. The history, the settled history, you know, the mainstream history rather, is that these were all built with substandard, you know, sort of temporary paper mache materials.
Solid staff.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's almost to me more improbable than this idea that they built the whole thing, you know, using established techniques at the time.
Okay, so take the building in the center of this photo. That was, I think, like a government building or something like that. The beautiful dome and whatever else. Okay, so even bigger than this in Buffalo was the electrical tower. It's 395 feet high. It could hold, I think, 100,000 light bulbs, and it had elevators that ran in the middle of it to the top, where you could take people to the top and you could have a view over the Buffalo World's Fair. Are you going to build that out of wood and plaster? And you're going to have people taking elevators to the top and stand on it? Of course, it's got to be a extremely strong structure. So just to build the Buffalo Electric Tower, one building at one World's Fair, that alone is going to take you 2 years. So how the hell are they building the rest of this in 2 years? So that, as soon as I got the information from the building contractor, and we went through a lot of stuff. We went through the construction photos.
My God, they said...
How the fuck do they got electric lights just beaming through everything in the early 1800s? First of all, do they even fucking have electricity like that, my nigga? Like, let me think for a second. Sheesh.
This is, that's a Buffalo Electric Tower. That's supposed to be.
This is what was built in 2 years. The Buffalo Electric Tower. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. They can't even do that now.
Built out of wood and plaster. That's the story.
They said it was made out of wood and plaster, y'all. This was made out of wood and plaster. They said this was already here in America. When they got here, this was already here. This was already active. I got the pictures in the 1600s of the World's Fair in the 1600s with the same electric displays going on. And I know we didn't have electricity, allegedly, according to history, that in the 1600s. But I can show you pictures of it.
The historical narrative.
Paintings of it, because they didn't have photos in the 1600s, so they had to illustrate it through painting renditions.
My hometown of Cortland,
where is the electricity, that much electricity coming from to power those kind of lights? They say it's supposedly Nikola Tesla figured some way to bring energy from Niagara Falls into Buffalo, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
In my town of Cortland, New York, where I grew up, it took them 3 years to fix the smallest bridge I've ever seen in my life. 3 years. And that was in the 80s and 90s.
Right? It take them 2 years just to fix a highway these days. Just one little section of a highway. It take a whole 5-year program, shutting down the whole highways, trucks everywhere, all kind of shit. The shit that they talking about building this great tower in 2 years doesn't even make sense, only to destroy it in 6 months.
3 years. And you're telling me they built all that in...
Like Johnny, because you're looking stuff up. Have you got get some more on the Columbian World's Fair? Just throw a couple of more of the Columbian expositions, some of the ones that show a few more of the buildings, just so that the guys can and everybody can see.
I've always enjoyed looking at these images. There's something.
Oh, white boy, you enjoy looking at our great images that our ancestors built? I bet you do. Thank my ancestors for this. We're gonna get into this here in a minute. We're gonna break it down.
Tantalizing about them, I mean,
right,
I can see why you went down
why
the hole.
Do they need to all look like they're in ancient Rome or ancient Greece?
Yeah,
and so that again was the next question: are they really building them, or are these part of this potential worldwide civilization, where ancient Rome and ancient Greece is?
Here's a little wider look at that one image.
Oh,
ancient Rome was never where you think it is. We're going to get into that. We ain't done. We're just getting started, man. This is going to be a fire build. I want to see 200 people in this live stream today. Let's get it cracking.
Oh, my God. That's a fair?
Yeah,
like go down a little bit. I saw one. If you just scroll down,
okay.
Go down to like the one. Like scroll down to the next one of the next photos. It's the one in the middle and the right. It was in that section part.
Here?
So it's just like this one just above you, for example, where the flag is.
Okay.
One with the flag in the center. Yeah, there's a good one. So that's another part of the fair. That's looking. So you were.
That's on the opposite end. What you just seen with the big statue, that's on the opposite end down here. So now you're looking at it from the opposite perspective. You see what I'm saying? So you when you look at it from right here, that's the flag is on the other end down here. The flag is down here. You see what I'm saying? So when you go back to there, now you're looking at it from this perspective. Just to give y'all some type of understand.
The dome, now you're looking the other way. So this is just the lagoon area. This is just this small little one section. So now you're seeing it from both sides.
And mind you, they said they built all this in 2 years out of wood and plaster, and they destroyed it 6 months later. Y'all believe that?
It looks like it's times 10. It looks like the Caesar's Palace times 10.
So let me ask you
I mean,
something.
that would rival the Capitol. That would rival DC as we know it now. I mean, it's amazing.
And I mean, this is just a tiny little part of the fair.
It's 120 years ago, too. Is what we're talking about. To be clear,
supposedly 1891 they built this, and not just they were building the fair at this time. Oh no! At the same time, they were building the University of Chicago right next door, with of course all Gothic cathedrals, Gothic structures, giant. Because building something like take the map, pull the map up, the one that's in top second row. Yeah, that one right there. So this is a map. Pull that one up. This is a map that was made at the time of all the buildings at the fair. So this is a really good thing to see the scale of it. So
the thing is, this is not just Chicago. They got World's Fairs all over. Look at this shit. This look like a pyramid structure. This look like a pyramidal structure, y'all. Like some shit you will see in Guatemala. Come on, G. Look at what they've been trying to hide since the early 1800s, destroying your ancestors' work, y'all. This is serious. Serious.
So this is the Chicago Exposition. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's it. That's the entire scale. And it goes all the way to the back where you can see the FAIRS.
It goes all the way back here. This is like 200 acres. 200 acres of work done in 2 years. Pier building, every inch, canals, fresh everything. 2 years. And destroyed every bit of it in 6 months. How? Why?
Wheel barely at the edge of the horizon.
Oh my God!
This
It
is
is a
all the
city.
Chicago Exposition. Now, the building you see in front of you, that was known as the Manufacturers Building. It was the largest building in the world at the time. You could put 300,000 people in there.
Is there a modern event?
So 3 Rose Bowls. 3 Rose Bowls
Wow.
filled with people could fit in that one building.
Is there a
Just to
modern
give you
comparable
scale.
event? Is this like the Olympics where countries competing to host these? What would you say is comparable in modern times?
They're still
Nothing.
doing it.
They're still doing them. They still have them. They've just scaled.
But is there
them
anything
down
like
to-
it now? No.
No.
I mean, like Disneyland, maybe something like that.
Pop Reed, what's up?
Building an Olympics is a little bit of there, but again, you're only building 4 or 5, maybe 6 stadiums where stuff is going on and some hotels, and I mean, look at what's being built here. You've got the giant buildings all on your left. You've got all of these lakes are supposed to be remade. They were actually quarried out. You've got that at the bottom of your screen here where it says bird's eye view. That's supposed to be a moving walkway. That's supposed to be an electric walkway where you didn't actually have to.
You hear that? This was supposed to be electric walkway. So you could just walk on. It was electric, like an escalator. You ever seen them escalator things at the airport? You can just get on and just move you. They ain't escalating, they ain't going up, but they just go forward. It's just electric walkway. You ain't ever seen them things at the airport? They already had them in the 1800s at the World's Fair. That's what they just said. Let's run that back. Run that back about 2 seconds. Let's go.
Look at what's being built here. You've got the giant buildings all on your left. You've got all of these lakes are supposed to be remade. They were actually quarried out. You've got that at the bottom of your screen here where it says bird's eye view. That's supposed to be a moving walkway. That's supposed to be an electric walkway where you didn't actually have to walk.
Right here.
1871. You can just stand on this and it'll take you by yourself. When you move a bit to the left, you start moving into the country building. So every country there had its own building. Then you move a little further, it's the states. Every state in the union had its own building. And then you move further up and you hit the midway. That's where all these things like I talked about, the historical exhibits are. And every building, of course, is loaded with artwork and machinery and technology and paintings. And the one building, a smaller building here, it was the Illinois building, the building for the state of Illinois. There's a book on the fair that lists everything at it. It's the fair book is 4,000 pages long. It took 22 pages to list everything that you could find just in the Illinois building alone.
Wow.
Oh my God.
This is the scale of these things, and they did them in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Buffalo, in New York, in Nashville, in Omaha, in
So you're telling me like every major city in almost the world had one of these?
Milan, Paris, Brussels, Copenhagen,
Mexico,
Rome. Yeah, they were going to Mexico. There'd be one in Buenos Aires, in Rio, in the Philippines. You'd have them in Cambodia. You'd have them in Sydney, in Melbourne, in Tokyo.
Are there remnants? Are there many remnants of these?
Not many things are left, of course. There's always usually one building in many cases that survives, that they say they had to make one a permanent structure because they had fire damage.
If they was permanent structures and you said they was made out of wood and plasters, how come we don't see them bitches being made out of wood and plaster today, these historical buildings? Let's go find the one that they left and let's go see if it's made out of wood and plaster.
Concerns for certain art.
Shout out to Big Chief Fuck You Crackers for the Cash App donation, man. Shout out to Big Chief Fuck You Crackers for the Cash App donation. We appreciate that.
Work. So they needed one to survive. But like in Chicago, The only buildings that exist are the current art museum. I think that was the or museum of something. Anyway, in downtown, I can't remember the name, of course, off the top of my head. There's a building that's out here in Norway that had been Norway's building. They moved it back here. I went to see it a few months ago. There's the Pabst exhibit. So Pabst Brewery had a thing in the manufacturer's building.
Shout out
that's
to
still
Original
in
92, man.
Massachusetts. That's about it. That's all that's left.
So what is the implications are that there was this civilization and some parasites came through and wiped them out and then wiped the history out? Is that what we're saying here?
Okay, so after I did this research, and of course the fun thing is if you start showing this to the average person, they'll just tell you, yeah, but people were craftsmen.
His ass tweaking.
Back then they knew how to build
He
things.
tweaking
They were
He tweaking bad. Y'all know I gotta make fun of this honky man. He be tweaking hard.
They had a pride in their work. That's the kind of answers they would give as to how this could be done. But anyway, once I realized, okay, the standard narrative is just garbage. I mean, there's no way this was done the way they said it. You have like 20 possible theories, from aliens to building it in a parallel reality, whatever. But if you take it down to two logical possibilities, you've got A, they did build it in the time frame that they said, which would mean they would need a technology that we have no idea what the technology could be, almost like you'd be 3D printing the stuff out of like 3D print kits, kind of. That would be one possibility. The other possibility would be these must be remnants of, yes, an ancient civilization. And this is now the one I lean more towards, that most of the large buildings, particularly the ones that have a Greek-Roman look, were part of a worldwide civilization.
And we're gonna pause it right there. We'll come back to that. He said Greek or Roman look, right? We'll come back to that. Give me just a second. We're gonna load up this next video and we're gonna get it cracked. I got some shit for y'all today. Y'all just sit still. Y'all just sit y'all ass right there. I ain't going nowhere. We just gonna get it cracking. Give me a second.
Come together, fucking fun.
We gonna get it. I got y'all. Trust me. Drop some fire emojis in the chat, man. If y'all wanna see something loud and clear, man. Drop some fire emojis in the chat. Drop some fire emojis in the chat. All right, let's get it. Boom. Load that motherfucker up. We'll come right back to that other video in just a second. We ain't done. Let's get it.
And this is even Argentina. Buenos Aires, Argentina, back in the day.
Wow. This is a real seafaring civilization, right? That must have been a huge part of their culture is sea travel.
This is London. This is Geneva, Switzerland.
Wow.
Argentina, back in
Oh,
the
wow.
day.
Look at this Star City. Now, they was talking about the World Fair, but look at these star cities which still exist, which predates the World's Fair, all in America right here. Look, this is a star city in Argentina right here, made like a star. Canals, creeks, just like some shit that you see in the World's Fair. Because the World's Fair wasn't a World's Fair, it was civilization.
So this is a real seafaring civilization, right? That must have been a huge part of their culture is sea travel.
Exactly.
Right?
And part of it goes into the U.S. As far as expansion in the U.S. sort of has to do with the fact that this Tartarian Empire controlled the Pacific up until its fall in the sort of late 1700s, early 1800s.
Wow.
But we're going to show you some sort of proof from this map. We had a map here. But this map is it's called the Framora map. It's from 1450, and when it was made by a cartographer in Italy for the King of Portugal, right? And think of what Europe was like in what you've been told about Europe in the.
A1 been right. That's my big brother. That's why he the GOAT. Shout out to A1, man. A1 Ben told us this 4 years ago. A1 the GOAT. A1 was right, y'all. Hashtag A1 was right.
What it was like in the Middle Ages, right? This was just before the Renaissance. You had Rome, you had Greece, you had all this history in Europe. But if you dive into this map,
It's upside down too.
oh, it's upside. Yeah, the map's upside down. You guys see where everything is? It's kind of upside down. So, where am I?
You're in Africa.
Right, Mr.
All right, so
Hashtag
you got little
A1 was
buildings, little
right
cathedrals,
in the chat.
right?
Hashtag
You got
that.
something big here in England, but just little. And look, and we're going to go to Rome. The Roman Empire. Where's the Colosseum? Where's
Hell no, Indians didn't build them cities. Aboriginal Negroes with the science of zero did that.
the
Parthenon.
where's the Parthenon? Where's the Forum? Nothing, right? But then we start going east. We start going into the Tartarian.
And this map is from when?
1450.
1450. And what you're saying is for such a giant quote unquote empire, there are none of their in this map of historical buildings, they have none of their historical buildings.
A map made by an Italian, no less.
Shout out to Joseph Davis also for the Cash App donation. I want to say shout out to Joseph Davis, aka Calmo Joe in the building. Appreciate the support, big bro. Humbly, we appreciate all the support. You feel me?
This was an Italian map.
Someone who would be motivated to exaggerate.
You exaggerate the greatness of Italy and Rome, but everything. This is all Russia, man. All these kings right here.
Wow.
And look how crazy it is compared to Europe.
What the hell is that thing in the middle? Kind of in the middle there. That's crazy.
What thing?
It looked like almost like a outdoor structure, like a gazebo or something, but it was massive on the map.
Tons of crazy stuff. And look at Africa too. Africa is all castled up too.
Now is Russia a big part of Tartaria? And is it?
Look at this little Africa right there.
Was there any like central headquarters for these people?
Yeah, Scott.
We're gonna get to some more. Hold on, let's get to some more shit. Hold on, we ain't done.
Was it like all of Russia? Was it a big chunk of China? Wow.
But also, I guess that answer depends on
Depends on when.
Well, also, is it an empire where these are more like colonies? Is it the colonial?
Look what they got highlighted as a great empire, though. They were talking about Russia. Look what they talking about now, though. You see what they got talking about now? Because this over here brought a lot of shit over there. Why? Because when it was a continent right here and when it was a continent right there, it was a cataclysm that hit and broke up all this shit there, which caused a lot of this to flood here. A lot of people from these areas migrated here. Okay, I just want y'all to know that.
System,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
so some of these wouldn't necessarily technically be part of the country proper, right?
Yeah, country proper is going to be sort of like central Russia, central western Russia, and also.
Now, mind you, did you know that this part over here is really this part over here? This part right here is this part right here. Now, this is where everything started from, so it came in through this way. And guess what's right here? Moscow, the capital, where all the great monuments and structures are. So these people from here with a boom came in through here, boop, and then came right back. It was like a circle, boom, like a quick circle, boom, back around, boom.
China was a big part of this.
And the United States was part of Tartaria.
Yeah, it was colonized from the.
Wow.
But it's like an outpost, a colony.
Yeah, it was an outpost, but they were still pretty.
This was an outpost or a colony. What other books? So what else would they would have called this? Atlantis. Atlantis was a government of a particular area, which is this area, and it would have been over here in this area as well. You feel what I'm saying? So Atlantis would have been a government coming from a particular continent that was destroyed, that would have still stayed remaining. So when you get into books like Atlantis and the Lost Outpost or Atlantis and the Antediluvians, it's simply explaining sciences, cultures, and other things that was passed down from one nation to another, and also over here. This is facts.
Sizable cities in the U.S. and San Francisco, huge Tartarian city. If you look at the earliest photographs of San Francisco, and everybody knows that San Francisco was destroyed in an earthquake in 1906. But what they don't know is that there was a giant fire in the city in 1850 that destroyed a lot of stuff. But if you look at
remember, they just said that they destroyed a lot of the shit in the 1800s, the 1850s. They started destroying shit and then doing the World's Fair. Look, what did y'all know? It was a huge fire in most of these cities that destroyed shit right before. Let's listen.
The earliest photographs of San Francisco. Hold on. I'll give you guys a whole architectural rundown on this, just so you kind of see where Tartaria is. And
it's unbelievable that it could just be wiped off.
Have you seen the melting bricks?
Melting bricks?
Yeah.
Now this look like the World Fair, but now they calling this as Tartaria. Now, when you look up the word Tartaria and what the definition of Tartaria or Tartar means, it means unknown. Unknown place or unknown whatever. So if they saying this is the Tartarian Empire, they saying this is the unknown empire. And I'm telling you that this is not an unknown. This is the hidden empire from the Americas. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This is facts.
Where at?
I don't know. He brought it up last time. He'd show us like buildings that were part of there and they were melted or exploded.
Well, you guys aren't saying that there was some global calamity, right? That
we are, but
you are.
It might be different. There's an event in the early 1800s, a global calamity that we could go into. That
wow!
Shout out to your Massey Ton for the cash out donation. Shout out to Big Brother, your Massey Ton. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate all the support, you guys. Make sure y'all hit the like button, man. Hey, I really do. I really appreciate all the support. You know what I mean? I try to bring quality information for you guys. And my voice is going out too, so I can't even really talk. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you share this on all your social media outlets. We almost got 200 people in here. So if we can have the 190 in here, every one of you guys share this on your social media, we can probably bring in 250 people in this live stream. Appreciate y'all for tapping in.
That pretty much facilitated Tartaria being covered up. I don't know if they talk about the mud flood and all the whole thing, all the buildings that were buried.
Yeah, we've gotten into that. I mean, what's your whole theory on the mud floods?
Yeah, let's go into that now.
We could do a whole episode of mud floods.
Yeah. So what happened with how Tartaria fell was there was a it's called Pugachev's rebellion in history, and the Romanovs sort of recorded as this sort of peasant rebellion, but it was really this sort of military takedown of Tartaria, and it happened in the late 1700s, and it sort of pushed Tartaria.
Big brother Dion,
it allowed the Romanov armies to sort of move west or move east across Siberia and get rid of Tartaria, but in the early 1800s.
Tartaria, unknown empire. That's what it means. That's what it means. Unknown.
There was an event, and it was called. We think that it was precipitated by a comet. There's a thing called the Napoleon's Comet in 1811, and this was written about in War and Peace. But there's a lot of authors at the time wrote about this great comet that passed pretty much over North America during this time, and it caused famines. And official history says it never hit, but a lot of.
All right, matter of fact, let's type in. Let's go to Google and see what Tartaria means. Let's see what Tartaria means. Tartaria, a blanket term used in Western European literature and choreography for a vast part of Asia, bound by the Caspian Sea and the Ural Mountains of the Pacific Ocean and the northern borders of China and India. At the same time, the region was largely unknown to European geographers and actively Tamilic. So they pretty much say it was unknown. No knowledge. When you get into it, all it's talking about is unknown. Denoting the name, powerful, just meaning unknown territory. I just want to make that point so we can move on. So they don't even know what the fuck Tartaria is. They just know it had some advanced shit.
There's a lot of hardship during this time.
They don't know who brought it.
There's also a huge volcanoes going off, a huge spike in volcanic activity. And you have the Mount Tambora volcano in 1815. And I don't know if you guys heard the year without a summer. It caused so much destruction only in the northern hemisphere, not in the southern hemisphere where it went off. But in the year 1816, there was massive famine, massive crop failure because they didn't have a summer that year. It was everything was crowded, gray and covered up. The crops have been
wow.
There's been a lot written about this. Year without the summer. But there was also
type it in. That's a real fact. The year without a summer, where a cataclysm, a natural disaster happened, which damn near fucked up the world. Definitely fucked up America, especially with agriculture and shit. Look it up.
Something in the U.S. called the New Madrid quake. That's kind of what this.
They about to go into the New Madrid earthquake, right? Which led into the shit that happened in the Mississippi regions and the mud floods of them ancient structures. We about to get into it now.
Covered up, the crops have been
wow.
There's been a lot written about this.
When they was looking at from the European standpoint, Tartaria was in Russia in the Asia part. You got to understand that area was unknown to the Europeans, especially the science that was going on. And when I get into more proof showing you that Americans civilized and went and brought all the science into Asia and Africa, it's going to make more sense here in a second.
Year without the summer. But there was also something in the U.S. called the New Madrid quake. That's kind of what this article talks about, that there was a giant, 8-point earthquake in the Mississippi Valley in 1812.
Yeah, Tartaria was everywhere. It was a government. It was a system.
That caused the Mississippi River.
Yeah, that's the Amaru. That's the system of the Amaru, or the American, or the Amaru Khan.
To run backwards. There's a whole story about this, ferry boat that was on the river while it was running backwards. And the president at the time, I think it was John Adams, said he felt it in the White House, and this earthquake rang church bells in Boston.
Wow.
So, and also coincidentally at this time is you have a bunch of military invasions all around the world at this exact same time. You have something called the War of 1812, where the British came back into America and started causing problems. You had tons of Spanish. Yeah, you have the Napoleon in Russia, which is a whole separate part of this Tartaria story, where Napoleon was involved in covering it up. He was in Moscow in 1812 at this time, coincidentally, and the Spanish were crushing rebellions all throughout South America, right in this between 1812.
So around the 1812 is just chaos around the world,
right?
Yeah.
Just
what better way to erase to kind of put the nail.
This is what they saying happened during the Madrid earthquake. The flood came, hit most of the great buildings that you see, downtown today, like you see in your old city. Look just like the buildings, high peak domes, all this shit, big floors, all this shit was hit and destroyed, you feel me, by the flood.
A nail in an empire.
The Madrid earthquake.
Under the cover of calamity and, real climate change that's happening because of all.
Yeah, the Creek War really wasn't a war. It was a war between literally the flooding of the creeks, literally. In 1811, you had that happen. That's when the Madrid earthquake happened, 1811. It flooded the creeks after that.
Volcanoes and
oh my
and all
God.
that.
So
it provides a perfect cover to actually essentially erase this empire from history once and for all.
Yeah.
So where does this fit into everything like we've learned that?
So listen, we're gonna get into some more shit.
Going further, and the more
we're gonna get into some more shit. I ain't done. Y'all just hold your horses. Y'all drop some fire emojis in the chat, man. We not done. We about to get it in. Hit the like button. Support the channel. We ain't done. Let's get it. All right.
So that they don't say, oh, he wasn't using primary documentation. This is from Codex Telleriano Remensis. That's the source. All right. You see above his head, Quetzalcoatl. All right. You will see that he's always depicted as a black man. Period. There's just no way around this. You just can't get. You can get mad if you want. Then they had the nerve in depicting him, right, because of this particular era, to show a black man, right, to show a black man. Look at this, man. You can't get around this, right? To show a black man with a Eurasian. He's holding the Eurasian by the forelock. This is Neanderthal, Denisovan type hair structure. I mean, what more do y'all want to see, homie? Like, we show y'all and this is from primary documents. Like, I have these books, bro. All right? I have these materials. All right? And so I want to read something else though. That's not what I came to here necessarily to do. I want to read this. All right. Now, let's see. Here we go. This is what I want to deal with. All right. So I'll start here. The friendliest, and this is about Aboriginal Americans capturing Europeans early, making them pay tribute, all of that. Because we got this whole history of slavery wrong, bro. Like you have you got the Kumbaya version. Our people do not know what was happening. They think white people just came over here and body slammed everybody, and then it was cool. They had everything. It was not.
When they was the ones that was enslaved over here first. Those niggas took it from America before that over there.
Like that, homie. And I want to show you it wasn't like that. Now, this is from the same group that's called the Powhatan. The Powhatan were later renamed Delaware after a British general who conquered the Powhatan. Powhatan was the she glyph that I showed you.
Hey, if y'all can hear everything loud and clear, I want y'all to hit the like button, and I want y'all to drop some fire emojis in the chat. Peace and blessings to the 190 that's in the chat. I need to make sure y'all can hear and see everything loud and clear, so just drop some fire emojis in the chat. Let's go.
Conquered the Powhatan. Powhatan was the she glyph that I showed you the name, all right? That wasn't even their real name, all right? But I'm showing you this to show you lineage, because this particular chief of the Powhatan, under the mask of the Delaware, is the grandson of Chief Tammany, who I showed you standing on that turtle. Look at what...
Chief Tammany was also known as King Tammany, who allowed the first European to come into Philadelphia to start doing business. This is who introduced William Penn into American culture, rules, and regulation.
What was happening though? The Friendly Association, which is the Quakers, was first promoted in the 11th month, 1756, and continued to the 19th of the 4th month, 1763, during which time committees were annually elected by the subscribers who met on the 19th of the 4th month in each year to receive from the said committee an account of their transactions and expenditure of the money raised, which amounted to 4,004 pounds, which was chiefly laid out. Which was chiefly laid out in presents to the Indians and delivered to them at the public treaties, either by the governors of the province, Morris and Denny, or on behalf of the subscriber. Why were they paying they were paying tribute? It was rent. If you go back to Philadelphia and you look at what the boundary of Philadelphia was during this time, And
Philadelphia was small at this time. It ain't what you would see today with these 3 million people in the city. It would have literally been small. You could have walked through Philadelphia within 20 minutes. It was only a 4-block square radius.
From the time of William Penn up until this time, it was those 4 little squares. Washington Square, Franklin Square, Rittenhouse Square, and Logan Square.
Facts.
That was the extent of the city. Now the city is huge now. We have this perception that it was huge back then. These people were paying tribute to live in little villages and doing trading all the way up into the 1700s. That's the perception that you need to have. Because it wasn't like they was doing anything else. They were paying tribute. All right?
Paying rent.
A Delaware chief settled at Wyoming, this is Pennsylvania, in 1758, and
we pretty much set out subsidized housing that they had to pay for in a little area that we already occupied. You see what I'm saying?
The public expense, intending thereby to place him and his people as a form of defense, as a frontier defense. All right? And so they made him come, build houses for him and everything. All right. All right. So he's just talking about the treaty, the money that they paid him. And what was his name? In the treaty of the preceding year, T.D. Shung delivered an eloquent oration of the wrongs of his nation. All right. What were they doing wrong? Right here was 236 pounds, 14 shillings was raised by a number of religious Germans. That's Germantown. All right. The Schwenkfelders, which they directed to be applied to the particular purpose of the redemption of captives. We look at this thing wrong, bro. How we need to look at slavery?
Because these people was the slaves. These Germans called whatever the fuck that is was slaves. They was captives.
Slavery was a war. Slavery was a war. And if you don't know the people who were involved, you won't know what was going on. All right? You won't know why the Aboriginals were enslaving them. Let's go back a little further. I don't want to go there because this is a translation of that treaty, but this is what I want to read, right? This is the statute confirming that when the treaty was made with the Mamlaka al-Maghrib, which we call Morocco, all right, which was an empire in West Africa, right? They paid tribute. They paid rent, bro, and tribute to be able to trade. These were little guys on the block. You try to make George Washington and John Adams and
right, they try to make George Washington, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin like they the big guys. Nigga, they was the little niggas. They was like the little weak niggas on the block compared to the big dogs that was around here. Big Chief Tammany. You know what I'm saying? Big boy dragging canoe. You know what I mean?
Oh, these were little guys on the block, bro.
Facts.
All right, we need to get. They have made these people Superman. They were over little jurisdictions, and then they grew and got big. The wars, all the real wars of conquest, happened in the 1800s.
Peace Omega Red.
Prior to that, this whole concept of slavery is wrong, bro. It's wrong. It was a war. We was whooping their ass. Sometimes they whooped our ass. And when you go all the way up to the Civil War, it was the Aboriginals who forced Lincoln and forced the North to take the stance that they did in order to save the country. And this is why you see brothers in those regiments. All right, let me read this. An act making a appropriation for the purpose therein mentioned, be it enacted by the House, Senate, and House of Representatives of the United States of America, and Congress assembled, that for the purpose of effecting a recognition of the Treaty of the United States with the new Emperor of Morocco, there be and hereby is appropriated a sum not exceeding $20,000 US. And this is paid in gold to be paid out of the monies which prior to the first day of January next shall arise from the duties imposed on spirits distilled within the United States. So they put a tax on the spirits in order to raise money to pay for their ability to trade in the Mediterranean, by which they could not without the protection of that particular empire, going all the way back to the first treaty. So in the West, we had black people ruling. In the East, we had black people ruling. And so when we talk about slavery, right, and it happening in reverse, what are we saying? Let me break this down so y'all don't get this confused. What are we saying? First of all, what we're saying is get that out of Africa, out of your head. Just throw that away. The out of Africa theory has already been debunked by the people who you trust in. So we had black people on both sides of the Atlantic, interfacing with each other. This is what I wanted to show you, the bottom peck route to America Southeast.
Is echoing? What you mean double sounds? Nigga, it's your phone. Get off that dial up. Boost Mobile.
Because we have the Kufic scripts of the other waves of indigenous Africans who were coming into the Americas, interfacing with the Aboriginal populations. Not only do we have that, we have the admixture to prove it. Then going further, right? Going further. Oh, I heard somebody say something about old world diseases and people get wiped out. Man, just shut up. You don't know nothing about nothing. You don't know nothing about genetics, immunity, plasma cells, antibody, epithelial cells, how the immune cells respond. Listen, you know how retarded that is? I can show you video after video and documentary after documentary of Europeans going into locations in India where indigenous population had never seen white people. They're eating the food, they're living. Oh, some of them are mating with these people. And ain't nobody getting wiped out, man. You got a whole wrong concept of people getting wiped out. And there were instances of war where,
and that's true. There were several instances of war throughout America. You see what I'm saying? Where they try to act like we was wiped out by biological diseases and all this bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
people just disrespect y'all. Now y'all running behind people who enslaved y'all. Yeah, it gets crazy. All right, let me show you. Because I know it's not about belief. It's not about belief. It is about the truth. Here we go. This is 101, y'all. This is 101. Who do they want to enslave in West Africa and who do they want to enslave in the Americas? It's 101. I'm gonna show you. Go right to Columbus's letter. He tells you. Go right. Who enslaved the so-called Negro African American? All right. I'm gonna come back and read this letter, but here you go. This is what happened. It has long been promoted that the slave trade in the Atlantic was primarily the doing of white Europeans as well as Muslims. Retarded. That part is retarded. The transatlantic slave trade from West Africa was controlled by Muslims? Are you kidding me? That's stupid. All right. That is a historical fallacy and untruth. The hidden partner of the Europeans was the African kings, many of whom converted to Christianity and became adverse to those Islamic kingdoms who were in crusades against these Europeans. The Africans united with them, all right, to sell their own people. Look, the following kingdoms supported Europeans in kidnapping and the ancestors that did come from West Africa. Who were they? Kingdom of Ouida, currently called Benin. All right? And some of these people are apologizing now. The kingdom of Dahomey, the kingdom of Oyo, all right, that's Nigeria. All right, the kingdom of Angola, the kingdom of the Congo. These were all willing participants. All right, so let's read up on it. You see the source here. I'm going to show you the source. The Tour of Africa, containing a concise account of all the countries in that quarter of the globe, Volume 2 by Catherine Hutton, pages 322 to 323 is where I'm reading from. But I want to read here. All right. It was to be lamented that notwithstanding this kind of treatment, the Negroes were so willful as sometimes to starve or drown themselves rather than make a voyage to Barbados, shackled 2 and 2 together. When the cargo could not otherwise be completed, the king would sell 300 or 400 of his wives. This is the king of Weta. Oh, first of all, what you doing with 400 wives, huh? Are you kidding me? You selling your women to Europeans? All right. The king of Weta was magnificently clothed in gold and silver. When they went to salute him in the morning, they prostrated themselves on the ground before the door of his house. They then crawled on all fours into his presence. There seems to be a general propensity in men not only to obey, but to worship him. All right? So they're just giving a recount of what happened. I want to read more. All right, I want to get to the part where, oh yeah, this is my list right here. 51 African rulers of the Kingdom of Congo from the years 1407 to 1830 who willingly converted to Christianity, changed their indigenous names via baptism, allied with the Portuguese, Belgium, and other white Europeans or white Arabs, and who supported, captured, and sold so-called slaves in the trans-Saharan slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade. I got every king listed. Who did it? Look. Look. Don't tell me I don't do research. What are you talking about? Oh, you letting them off? I'm not letting nobody off the hook. I'm pointing out the sellouts because we still got sellouts in our community today. That's your problem. You think just because somebody got a black face that they're gonna be your brother or sister. That's not the case, homie, and never will be. I'm going to say it again, and never will be. Never. Let me go back. All right. So here we go. This is Columbus's letter, right? Cristobal Colon. What did he say? Whereas most Christian, high, excellent, and powerful princes, king and queen of Spain, and of the islands of the sea, our sovereigns, this present year, 1492, after your highness had terminated the war with the Moors who were reigning in Europe, the same having been brought to an end in the great city of Granada. All right. So they're fighting the Moors, which are West Africans. All right. West African Muslims. That's all that is. And then who else are they fighting? And later in the same month, because of the report, keyword, the report that I had given to your highness about the lands of India and about a prince who is called Grand Khan, which means in our Spanish language, King of Kings. How many times he and his predecessors had sent to Rome to ask for men learned in our holy faith in order that they might instruct him in it, and how our Holy Father had never provided them. And thus, so many peoples were lost, falling into idolatry and accepting false and harmful religions. So he's talking about these indigenous people in the West. This is their plan, how they're going to execute it. So let me go further. Hold on, come off of this. Let me go a little bit further. I'm gonna kill it with this one. All right. We know the slave trade happened in reverse, right? And we know what's going to end all of this slavery. It's not Pan-Africanism in no way, shape, or form. The only thing that is going to end this is this Aboriginal paradigm, period. Like it or not. That's the only thing that's going to end this slavery. That's the only thing that's going to end this genocide. That's the only thing that's going to get us back on our economic footing. That's the only thing that's going to give us a proper reconstruction of history and heritage. That's the only thing that's going to take us into our deeper sciences so we can implement the types of things that we need to raise our people. All these people talking online, the little leprechaun and all these other people, listen, you're wasting your time with them type of people. First of all, they're so envious and jealous and angry because they see other people, winning or getting attention or being successful, that they can never get together with you to do anything anyway. All right, they're gonna tear it down. They're gonna tear it down. I want to get this last concept over to you, and then we can be done. All right, there we go. Took a little while for that to open. Oh yeah, she did it already. Yep, she did it. Got them off. All right, let's go. Let's go.
That's right. Hit that like button, man. I ain't asked y'all enough today, but hit that like button, man. Hit that like button. We're gonna just finish this video up. It's a fire one. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Support the channel, man. Let's run these likes up. You know what I mean? Let's go.
In the sense of intelligence agencies working together to use the sleight of hand, because they know those people are dependent on their reconstructions of history. All right. So where do I want to go? Right here, doctrine of discovery. Bam. You see that? If you have never heard of the doctrine of discovery, you need to know what it is. All right. So the doctrine of discovery as it pertains to the identity of the African American. The first part of this material, and this is another book that I wrote, called I'll show you what it's called. Right here. The Aboriginal, the Moor, the African. All right. I wrote this book too, and it's in print. The first part of this material deals with the doctrine of discovery and its origins in the war of the church against African and Aboriginal nations, right? It is the author's position that the importance of highlighting this doctrine of discovery and its significance economically, legally, and socio-politically is that it is still in operation. Today, millions of indigenous people are still impacted by the institutions that descend from the church, eugenics and genocide, and the later European institutions that now dominate the property and persons of these fallen nations. The people have been shrewdly reclassified as African Americans, Afro-Mexicans, Afro-Brazilians, forced into the educational institutions of Europeans and their descendants, and socially engineered to be perpetual slaves without the physical chains, and in some instances, with the chains and bars and prisons that hold us. The discussion on our historical identity, is not just a history class. It is an education that peers into the hows and whys of the colonizing and into the remedy from our indigenous government structure. It is a conversation made to bring about clarity and unity of thought amongst indigenous peoples in the Americas.
We're going to be doing something with Ali Muhammad real soon, man, because when I was in the A, I linked in with some of the Amaru, the She Nation, you know what I mean, some members. And so, Big Al always linking in, you know what I mean? If there's any real tribes or any real Aboriginals in the area, I'm definitely pulling up to rock with y'all to see what's cracking, man, for sure.
And globally. So
Make
they
sure
can
hit that like button, man. Support the
stop
channel.
Complaining.
I might even drop the link
book,
in a minute.
I propose we view our surroundings.
If y'all want a link, damn, I don't even like the way that shit sound, man. Hey, y'all drop some corn emojis in the chat, man. That's my new emojis, man. Drop some corn emojis. I want to see everybody in the chat drop some corn emojis.
To verify that the words of this book are accurate, then implement the systematic strategy that this material imparts for remedying our situation as indigenous peoples of diverse cultural backgrounds. See, that's important. We all aboriginal.
I want to see y'all drop some corn emojis. The corn. C-O-R. There we go. Corn. There we go.
That's tying us to the
Jam
land.
Bay. That's what I'm talking about. Corn.
Whatever your specific cultural paradigm is, and how you do things, you don't have to give.
And that's for all the Africans, because they corny as hell. And I'm going to make a new episode called Corn Hub for these corny niggas.
That up unless it is seeded with colonizing agents. All right. The level of observational science used in this material can only be classified as unique. However, its focus is the scientific evidence and proof of the past identity of the Aboriginal Americans. All right. Moors and ancient.
Yeah, the corn is for the corny Africans that come on here with that, with the talking points. So anytime we see an African talking that bullshit, drop your corn emojis, because he going on Corn Hub. That's a fact. He's going on Corn Hub.
Africans. Who were they? How do we determine it with 100% efficiency? And how do we know that these are our ancestors? All right. Some of this other stuff is just particular like things that I put in there, but let me keep going on this issue of the doctrine of discovery. Now look at this. This is Dums Diversa of Pope Nicholas IV, 1452, before Columbus, right? Look at what they wanted to do. You're still under the doctrine of discovery, homie. That's what I'm trying to get to you. You're using pseudonames of identity, and psychologically, when I see you accepting that, I know how you think. So when I try to introduce something to you that's really, really beneficial, your mind is already programmed because you're walking around with these names, monikers that are from your enemy. So look at it. Look at what they wanted to do. This is them this is them putting their strategy out. From Rome, we grant to you full and free power through the who? Apostolic authority. Stop. That is the authority of the foreign religions that you have been following that colonize your mind. Now, I'm going to...
Oh, yes, Cherokee, especially the corny Indians. You understand me? These corny Indians coming out there with that weak information. Definitely drop the corn emojis when you see them. And just hashtag Corn Hub. They going right on the first episodes. You understand me? Exclusive.
I'm break something down to you that is super important. Some of the African ones that you are following are also pseudo.
Because listen, they've been talking this pseudo shit and it's corny. This whole out of Africa theory, man. Not every black person on every crevice of the world come from Africa. Gee, that's corny. That's why all y'all shit going on Corn Hub. Facts.
Because they're from slave masters. Let me ask you a question. And this is as an initiate of systems who understand systems. When you go and you get initiated into EFA, right? And you go through all of the things that you need to
hey, if any brothers from the continent feel, I'm not hating on anybody, I do uplift what y'all accomplishments and contributions. We strictly talking about people who's forcing their ideology and artificial history that's not our history attached to, trying to attach it to us. So if anybody want to hit the link here in a minute, we will allow you to come on.
Understand all of the 256 Odu. You understand all of the things that you go through in your initiation. If you did it, you know what I'm talking about, right? Ask yourself a question. Where in the hell were these Orisha when you was getting put on the ship by your Nigerian brother or sister? Where were they? I'm pretty sure that they were called upon and nothing happened. So the apostolic authority is not only tailored towards the Arab religions that you follow, the Jewish religions that you follow, the Europeanized Christian religions that you follow, all aspects of them. They are all.
Yeah, Teriyaki, we ain't on that type of energy. You know what I mean? It's all peace. Just don't do no corn hub shit.
Also for the African ones that you follow, that mean.
I'm telling y'all, because I got somebody going to be screen recording any corny shit, and y'all going on a separate playlist. The corn hood.
Mean nothing to you and can do nothing for you and did nothing for you to get you out of the situation when you were calling on Olodumare, calling on Eshu, calling on Yemeya, calling on Shango, calling on whoever you were calling on at the time.
He killing these Pan-Africans with this shit, man. Let's move it up a little bit. Let's move it up a little bit. Hit that like button, man. We ain't even getting started. We just now getting started. Let's go.
In the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, it is written by Fernando de Alva. Yeah, you got it. That's Aztec. That's later. The word Aztec is derived from the word for the people, Tec or Teca, and Az or Aztlan. According to Aztec legend and codex documents, they Aztec invaded the Mexico Valley and Tenochtitlan, now called Mexico, from a.
So it says Aztecs invaded. So that means they not from there. They not the same people.
A what? Foreign place. They invaded from a foreign place. They are not the Aboriginals. They are not autochthon.
So when people try to come in and debate you and they like to highlight Aztec information and attach it to us, you see what I'm saying? Because if you go into their mirrors, you find a lot of homosexual shit. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's not our history. And I've been telling y'all that from the beginning. Aztec history is not Aboriginal history. It's a mixed culture. It's an invaded culture. This is when you start seeing these mirrors or these Eurasians coming in late Inca history because they're recording these motherfucking invaders. You see what I'm saying? Aztec was one of the last waves of the ancient empires to be attacked by an Asian invader.
From somewhere else. They came from a place that they call Aztlan. The fact that they were migrants to the Valley of Mexico is recorded in the Bortorini Codex, Codex Telleriano Remensis, and Codex Aben. Those are your codexes right there. Go.
Hey, if y'all want to highlight these codexes, this is real primaries. Listen, you can highlight all these codexes right here, and they gonna give you all your games. So when somebody like Tahuti asks you for a primary or what did the indigenous people say, you can simply go to a codex and refer to it in the languages and what has been translated already. You don't have to speak that language.
Buy these. Those are your codexes. The Aztec entered the Mexico Valley. Look when they entered. This is the later migration. And we're not an indigenous.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, a later migration. This is 12th century.
Indigenous people to the Americas. Their records placed in certain codexes display this fact and display the Aboriginal Black inhabitants that they warred with, spied on, and worked with the Spanish to oust from power. It is the author's premise that these Aztec are descendant and were outcasts, right? Depictions of Austronesian Cam fighting Aboriginal Pimar founders of Angkor Wat. That's important. And were from these entitled Austronesian peoples, which gives them the language origins with Austronesian languages and places them amongst the Southeast Asian stock. The possible areas of origination are known today as Cambodia, Vietnam.
Let's run that back so y'all hear this.
This is the later migration. With spied on and worked with the Spanish to oust from power.
You hear that? The Aztec was spying on us and was working with the Spanish.
It is the author's premise that these Aztec are descendant and were outcasts, right? Depictions of Austronesian Cam fighting Aboriginal Khmer founders of Angkor Wat. That's important. And were from these entitled Austronesian peoples, which gives them the language origins with Austronesian languages. And
oh, you want to go back to the Aboriginal Black inhabitants, don't you? I know what you want.
Mexico is recorded in the Bortorini Codex.
I got you.
Codex Telluriano Remensis and Codex Auburn. Those are your codexes right there. Go buy these. Those are your codexes. The Aztec entered the Mexico Valley. Look when they entered. This is the later migration. And were not an indigenous people to the Americas. Their records placed in certain codexes display this fact and display the Aboriginal Black inhabitants that they wore.
The Aboriginal Black inhabitants that they warred with and spied on. Let me run that back.
Display this fact and display the Aboriginal Black inhabitants that they warred with, spied on, and worked with the Spanish to oust from power. It is the author's premise that these Aztecs.
So it's showing you that the people that they call Mexicans and these invaders that you see in these areas today came here. They were Spanish spies, outcasts. This is documented. And they came to war against the Aboriginal Black inhabitants. That's you and your ancestors. These are the mound builders. These are the Mayans. These are the Olmec. This is the Hopewell community. This is the Poverty Point. These are these particular nations, the Yamasee, the Powhatan.
Descended and were outcasts.
The
right?
Pico.
Depictions of Austronesian Cam fighting Aboriginal Khmer founders of Angkor Wat. That's important. And were from these entitled Austronesian peoples, which gives them the language origins with Austronesian languages and places them amongst the Southeast Asian stock. The possible areas of origination are known today as Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Micronesia, Polynesia, New Zealand, and Polynesian Islands, Thailand, Solomon Islands, further west to Tamil, and even further south into Australia. The Bortorini Codex depicts the Aztecs as coming to Mexico in boats from a land of structures and pyramids in the Cambodian area known as Angkor Wat, Angat, Angatan, and a few other areas are the only southeastern areas that match the descriptions of the temples and the pyramids. The phenotypes, genetic studies, and geologic environmental events, some cataclysmic, support the position of various ways of migrations from this area to the western coast of America. When these migrationists came in their ways, they found the true Aboriginal Black populations of the Americas already here with fully operational civilizations. All right, North American invasion chronology, 16,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago. Earliest population dispersals occurred at the same time as changes in environmental landscape. I told you about these bottlenecks and migrations. Real people who...
Bottlenecks and migration. If you don't know what a bottleneck is, type in genetic bottleneck. It's going to automatically explain what a population bottleneck is and how diversity happens, spread it amongst the continents.
Study know these. Real academics know these. All geneticists don't know these. Know this. Some of them do. All right. You need to study the ones who understand the bottlenecks and population dispersals based on environmental cataclysms and fallout, particularly rising sea levels, which submerged a huge ancient continent now called Sunderland. Now, I already proved that geologists, all right, stated that there's an 8th continent in the Pacific. And so when I was saying this years ago, it was like, oh, I wasn't calling it the lost land of Mu, but y'all call it that. So, hey, it don't matter to me. Y'all call it what y'all want. It's a damn continent that used to be in the Pacific. That's not anymore. And it's like, y'all got to get up to date with the information. Dr. Martin Richards in Climate Change and Post-Glacial Human Dispersal in Southeast Asia confirmed.
I even brought the information out explaining Zealandia being the 8th continent and the continental crust displacement and how most of it is submerged up underwater, but it sits in the southern Pacific Ocean.
These migrations The earlier out of Taiwan model proposed that humans migrated south from the northern area of Taiwan. Yet DNA evidence has proposed the opposite direction of the migrations, originating from the south. Dr. Stephen Oppenheimer was the first to propose the island Southeast Asian migration model in his material, Eden in the East, the Drowned Continent of Southeast Asia. The latest study, which has been led by Leeds University and published in the journal Molecular Biology and Evolution, shows that a substantial fraction of the mitochondrial DNA lines inherited by female descendants have been evolving within the region of the islands of Southeast Asia for a much longer period, some since modern humans arrived about 50,000 years ago. The DNA lineages show population dispersals at the same time as sea level rises, and also show migrations into Taiwan, east out of New Guinea, and the Pacific. The author proposes here that the earliest migrations of the invading Aztec and Yucatec regions and current so-called Native American phenotypes are from this geographic region. They're foreigners. Dr. Oppenheimer from Oxford University School of Anthropology said, one of my main predictions in the book was that 3 major floods following the Ice Age forced the inhabitants to escape in boats to flee to less flood-prone regions. By examining mitochondrial DNA from their descendants in Southeast Asia and the Pacific, we now have strong evidence to support flooding theory, and this is possibly why Southeast Asia has a richer store of flood myths. All right? He keeps going. Martin Richards. I know it gets boring, but this is the academic side you got to read. Martin Richards, the first professor of archaeogenetics at Leeds University, led the research team. He stated, I think the study results are going to be a big surprise for many.
Hey, I'm going to put you up on game, Stuart. The Powhatans didn't steal it. The Powhatans is the old man. That's the same people. That's the same exact people. That's the same exact people. The Amashi is the Powhatan. Powhatan ain't even the original name of it. We'll get into that too.
Archaeologists and linguists on whose studies conventional migration theories are based. These population expansions had nothing to do with agriculture, but were most likely to have been driven by climate change, in particular, global warming and the resulting sea level rises at the end of the Ice Age between 15,000 to 7,000 years ago. Now, I disagree with this whole Ice Age, water melting. There's something else there that's in the culture to tell you what happened from the indigenous records. Geologists place this occurrence at the time of the last Ice Age, that we come up with an exact date and a more detailed chronology when we add in the new geomagnetic chronology and timeline and the prime meridian science, all right, left by these ancient Americans. So now look, I gotta do this. You ain't gonna get away from this. I'm gonna give you the page number. When I brought the book Geomagnetic Biology, right, by April Dubrov, and I showed this right here. Let me show you. I showed this right here. Where is my, I'm lost somewhere. Okay, gotta be somewhere. Right? Chromosome mutations based on the GMF, changes in the GMF field. They have a whole section on this. I'm not gonna read it now because I don't want to give away. I gave this away already when we did that evolutionary conference. Y'all weren't paying attention. Changes in the Earth's geomagnetic field results in chromosome mutations, malignant mutations. So some of these population dispersals had to do with environmental catastrophes. And this is what our people wrote. They didn't write about no damn sea level rising. They wrote about what we are calling today tsunamis, which we just saw one in Japan a few years ago that wiped out a few thousand people. See, we can see the things that are happening. We can see them. They happen in our time. If you got 15,000 people that get wiped out by a tsunami caused by an earthquake, and you have She Olmec Mayan deities named after or named for these events in nature, they were observing these particular things. And when it comes to the geomagnetic field, where were the first lodestone compasses made on Earth to measure the Earth's magnetic field? I'm gonna ask that again real slow. Where were the first lodestone compasses made to measure the Earth's geomagnetic?
It was done in America by the Olmecs at the same spots that they find the observatories at.
Field. Was it in Kemet? No. Was it in Nigeria?
No.
No. Was it in Asia?
Hell no.
No. Was it in South Africa in some ancient time period?
No.
What was it in the Napa Playa complex?
No.
No. Where was it?
America.
Where was the first human attempt to understand the geomagnetic field of the Earth? Where was it?
America. We can get into cymatics.
Right here in good old America. Right here in good old America. All right. And so now I'm going deeper. I'm going deeper. So now you have a modern book that details geomagnetic field variation and how it affects chromosome mutations. They do it in history through the dating systems. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. One of the things they highlight in the book is that Lucy, who was found in Kenya, all right, in East Africa, right, there was high amounts of argon in the dig. When they did the dig, they found all this argon, right? So anybody who knows about dating systems, you have one called potassium argon dating, right? And I'll have no.
Potassium argon dating. Also, you got uranium thorium dating. I don't know if you're familiar with uranium thorium, which is it's how they able to date rocks.
All right. Yastellan structure 33. You ain't gonna be able to deal with this. This is gonna blow your mind. All right. All right, so let's go into these dates. All right. So we're dealing with the Koba stele, 1 and 5 and 28. All right. Yastellan structure 33. Karenga stele A, D, E, and F. Copan steles. All right. So all these steles. All right. And so these periods right here are periods that are all listed, and you're making astronomical calculations. And one of them in particular deals with the cosmology mythos of the origin of 3 entities that manifested from the back of the turtle as a cosmological genesis.
Now, why this is significant about the Olmec saying that the origin of 3 different particular layers come from the back of the turtle is because when you see the progenitor of the Powhatan or Chief Tammany, guess what you see? Guess what you see? You see Chief Tammany standing on the back of a turtle, which was the Powhatan, which later on became the Delaware. This is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. The Olmec and the Powhatan, or what we call the Delaware, is the same people. It's the Amish.
Almost,
which is the same people who gave ordinance and calamity to expatriating these people over here.
Of what we would term.
When they had them sign it, it was the X marks the spot. And this was a symbol, a signature, or initial of the Amish. You see it on the back of the Powhatan during their winter, summer, solstice events.
ancestors. Okay, but look at these numbers. All right, look at these numbers. All right, how many zeros are here? Let's count them. 3, 6, 9. All right, let's go just thousands, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, quadrillions. I got my quad. I'm messing up. Sextillions. Oh, quintillions. Excuse me, quintillions. Sextillion. Septillion. Octillion. So 754 octillion. Come on, bruh. Like, get out of here, bruh.
That's how long we've been around. That's how long our ancestors recorded us being around. I just want y'all to keep that clear.
Come on, bruh. Like 154 octillion. Come on, bruh. Like, get out of here, bruh. Now, I showed you that just to give you now this book right here. Let me go show you what I'm reading from, so you won't think that you won't think that I'm just reading from something. This is all calendar information. All right. This is actually someone's dissertation on this particular thing, and I'm going to show you what it is. Like, bro, y'all out of y'all league. Y'all out of y'all league. Y'all out of y'all league. Let me go all the way back. I'm not even going to read where they said it came from, because they depict it as a black watery place. All right. A catalog of Maya era day inscriptions. Carl D. Calloway. All right. So you can, from La Trobe University, where he's going into calendars and a whole bunch of stuff on the cosmology, on the origins, all of that. Right. So let me come off of that. Now I'm going to read what I had up earlier. All right. Where you at? Where you at? I don't want that. I want this. All right. Let's go back. All right. So let's read. Let's read further. Yeah, 41 octave you. Look what they gave you. They gave you 41. The other one was 41 octillion. All right. The 3 firestones in the sky from the back of the turtle shell. And what Linda Shelley says this is that this is the belt of Orion. Now, what's interesting in astronomy is that the belt of Orion represents the equatorial 0 point, meaning like the equator of the sky. That's interesting. And I'm not going to elaborate on that right now, but that's really huge for understanding how smart these people were. Now, let me go to my other points so we can go to these pyramid points and then get out of here. All right, this is taking a long time, because I want to break down. Oh, let me do this. Ha. Come on. All right, there we go. I'll do this just for record's sake. Just for record's sake, right? I'll do this for record's sake. Let me make this smaller. Let's do this for record's sake, right? Check this out. I'll drop this on you. When the gods of the Egyptians wanted to depict their origin, what did they say? They called themselves Kinti Amintri. This is from the pyramid text. Why do they have this fascination with the West? foremost of the Westerners or pure Westerner. All right? That's the term that they use. But let me go here. All of the zoology, right? The zoology. Foremost of the Westerners. Can I get it? All right. The oldest fossils for a falcon, which is the symbol of Heru, is it in Africa or America? The oldest records of falcon fossils are in Idaho. Time period is the late Miocene, 10 million years ago in Idaho. All right? And there's your source.
Y'all better get these sources. Hey, shout out to PG for the Cash App donation. I appreciate that, man. We're going to get ready to wrap this video up, though, and I'm going to drop the link so anybody want to come on and build. But I appreciate you, big brother PG, for the Cash App donation. Respectfully, bro. We appreciate all the support.
Now, not only does this stand for the falcon, right? It doesn't only stand for the falcon. It stands for a lot of the zoology. I ain't even gonna start on that. I'm gonna jump off of that. That's sidetracking me from my.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap that one up. I do want to let y'all catch this last little bit. This last little bit.
To show you, this is, bruh, like you just can't get around it. So let me show you. This is Teotihuacan, right?
This whole thing.
This is Teotihuacan, right? You got the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl, you got the pyramid, the sun pyramid, you got the moon pyramid. This is the Giza Plateau, all right? You got the Great Pyramid, you got Chephren, and you got Marcinius, all right? And those were, of course, Greek names. But look, what did I just show you? What did I just show you? Pay attention to what I just showed you. When you look at Orion, everybody knows who studies a little bit of pyramid lore knows that these pyramids are aligned to the belt of Orion, right? These pyramids over on the other side of the Atlantic are aligned the same way, right? Right? Okay, let me go further. Let me show you. These pyramids, go back. These pyramids are in America. These pyramids are in Egypt. Who was studying Orion? And why do you study Orion? You study Orion because it shows you the 0 point or the celestial equator. So you can find the equator on the earth, right? And you can measure the distance from the equator to the northern pole, bruh. Now, who was it that had a whole cosmology based on Orion? The Egyptians had it, and the She had it. Whose is older? America. There is no creation date based on the Orion 3 Firestone paddler ancestors going back 41 octillion years in Egypt, bruh. Like, sit your ass down. It doesn't exist. So now when you start getting into mathematics, longitude.
So just off of that alone, they have no steles or any record saying that their history go back millions or origins go back billions or anything. Our shit going back 720 some octillion years. You feel me? 27 some octillion years. I just want to let that be known. You know what I'm saying? I just want that to be known. Yeah, I don't know who the hell these damn spam alerts is in these goddamn chats. Moderators, y'all get any of them web series things popping up in this bitch out of here. That's a fact, though. You feel me? Shout out to y'all. Hey, we about to get into the part where I dropped the link in the chat. So let's get it. Open panel. I'm gonna drop the link. I'm gonna play a little jammy jam while y'all come on. Come on, let's get it.
Stack that bitch up, Mike.
Yeah, truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. The truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't, it ain't legalized. Realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized.
Hey, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button.
Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized.
It's your brother, Aboriginal Power.
Realize.
Big Aboriginal Power, you guys.
Slavery was a long time ago. How? Same motherfuckers still here right now. Colonized on our land, they're ahead of us. Changed our name so much they scared of us. Children of the sun, y'all don't compare to us. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area.
Ain't y'all area.
Talking about America. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Even up the playing field, bitch, I'm darn. How you a victim, bitch, you a Karen. Cognitive dissonance, you don't need sperm. You got white privilege, so you don't need sperm. Looking at my homeland, man, I can't believe her. Colonized came here, they ain't never leave her. Indians ain't die off.
Cause we here.
You ain't gotta lie, just
say you wanna be here.
How you American, but not
indigenous.
400 years still ain't
got rid of us.
Europeans, naturalized citizens, made all the Indians, niggas on the census. 1492, we was on the fences. Civil rights movement, we was so defensive. Black Wall Street, whites got so offended. Common law rights gave us amendments. Thank God don't speak truth, that's all right. First place 1619 was all right. 1200 with no continent.
All right.
Europe named after a black woman.
All right.
Grafted it come from us, do your research. Go within, quit listening to the teachers. And the new kid got voice coming out the speaker. Cut off trees that have made us weaker. Really they foreign of the shit gets deeper. Whites don't know where whites come from. Never is the need, we come from the ether. We don't know what's in our land, that's evil. We call them black people. Prison of the war, that's why it ain't equal. Wake up everybody, don't be no sheep. Freedom ain't free, really freedom is illegal.
We can't get advantages. Whites act like we can't see their advantages.
Privileges, real, they working in management. Low down dirty, but they call us savage. They want you to think they above us. All white people are
part-time judges.
I ain't no rich, but I ain't no sucker. I ain't no African, but they my brothers. Then lied to it, got built up anger. You built everything still waiting on the second. Call yourself black, please do me that favor.
Yeah, we're gonna stop right there. Shout out to my brother Threads 3000, man. We got a heavyweight panel on here already. We got a little Yos on here, little Yos Rios. We got Dawood and Big Brother Hawk School on the building, man. What's going on with it, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Peace to the tribes.
Peace. You sound super clear. Hey, they you ain't fucking around today. No fuck ups, no buffering. Hey, it's a movie now. Let's get it.
Honor and prosperity. Can y'all hear me clear? My
peace, loud and clear, big brother Yos.
All right. Yeah, I got some headphones on, as y'all can see. I'm glad them joints working.
Right. I want to say peace and blessings. We had a couple brothers that was disagreeing with some of the information. So
where they at? Fuck.
I don't know. I'm waiting on them to come on now. We're gonna let them get their time to speak respectfully. You know what I'm saying? We don't allow nobody who's subject or disagree respectfully and
hey Rue Word, what you talk about? I was like, he wouldn't imagine me looking like this. How the fuck I'm supposed to look, nigga? Salute though. He wouldn't imagine me looking like this. How the fuck I'm supposed to look?
That's weird. Weird, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Shout out to Ruth, man. That's my dog.
No, that's my dog. Man. That's my dog. We talk shit all the time.
Yeah, we always sparring. No, man. Much love to Ruth, man.
I actually, man, Root is the reason why the fuck I even like this nigga. Me listening to his channel, this nigga, I was recommended to AP in them, and then from there, this was in history. So shout out to Root, though.
That's what's up, Brody. That's what's up.
Even though this nigga be tripping sometimes, look like a young OG. He funny as shit.
Yeah, man. Big Al. Yeah, you missed it last night, man. We was on Clubhouse. App TV had a channel, and a Pan African came over there, and I started dropping some science on the the Royal Niger Company that he didn't even know about, man. Like when I say, man, when we got some haymakers for him, So let's see if they show up or pull up.
Hey man, so shout out to everybody, man. Respectfully, we got the brother Tizzy, Zeal, Tribes, Ties. Peace and blessings, brother.
Peace and blessings. Hey, on who that Ryan built wasn't a Man in Black 1 though?
Excuse me?
Wasn't that a Ryan belt? Then they have a display, a Man in Black 1 trying to reference the
Oh yeah, I
signs.
know what you're talking about. The Men in
Yeah,
Black.
Orion's belt being on the cat's neck or something like that. Yeah.
I digress. I see y'all.
Yeah, they did have a reference to that. We got Terrence McMillan on here. Peace, brother Ty. That was a nice piece of drop to throw out there. I appreciate that. Shout out to Terrence McMillan. Peace, brother. How you feeling?
Hey, Dion and Ruwer, wow, they funny as shit. They in the chat, Joe. Hey, Lil Yos, they say you look like you about 5'4".
Wait, who said that?
Nah, I said Dion and Ruwer, is it? Or Dion said you look like you about 5'4".
Man, I'm 5'9", man. So 5'4" is almost right there. So
Yeah, it ain't too far, is it?
I don't know what they clowning on.
Hey, real shit. Hey,
Man,
real
it's
shit.
all good,
5'9", man. I used to jump out the gym, so it's
Oh,
all
man.
good.
Nah, no, you look like you work out all day. You look like you one of them niggas that work out all day.
Yeah. Let's get it. Let's get it in, y'all.
My bad.
We got rational minds in
I'm a
here.
skinny nigga. I'm a skinny nigga. I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely skinny, cuz you need to drink some
Nigga,
milk.
first you said my head big. Now you said you gonna agree I'm a skinny nigga. What's up, AP? Fuck.
Hey, listen. Shout out to Terrence McMillan. Shout out to Rational Minds. Peace and blessings. How y'all feeling? Hey, if y'all don't mind, everybody mute yourself. I think we get some feedback. Terrence, Rational Mind. I got something to say. Peace and blessings.
Brother.
I can barely hear you, Terrence. If that's you speaking, speak up a little louder so we can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a little louder.
Okay. My point is, I just don't believe that the Aborigines, when the Europeans got here, were these brand new people, because there's lots of evidence showing that, the people that they first got in contact with were the Greeks in the West Indies, and they were black. I mean, obviously, they were black, but I'm just talking about who they were in the times of antiquity.
You said Greeks in the West Indies?
Yes, sir. And there's a record to show that the name of the ancient sea peoples were the Caribs, and that became Caribbean.
I would like to see some sources on that, man. That's dope.
Of course, brother. Give me 1 second, please.
Library of Congress, World's Maps.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Ask a question, brother.
Hey, Terrence.
Well, before yeah, go ahead. I don't want to get confused.
Hey, Terrence. Whatever. I wait later.
Now. That's why it's important for you to do your history, brother. You got to know who these people is. If you an Aztec, you just saying you an invader. Look up the history of the Aztecs. They explain it very simply.
They still had some nigga in them though, right?
I mean, they look like any dark-skinned Mongoloid that you see.
But they was invaders. Oh, dark-skinned Mongoloid. Okay, I see what you're saying. So the dark-skinned Mongoloids, like they how can I say this? So the dark-skinned Mongoloids, they related to us, or they just dark-skinned?
I'm sorry.
I mean, this is what they look like. So you tell me, they look like they related to somebody in your family. These dark
I ain't told you. I can show you pictures, bro. I do got like Chinese looking people in my family, like close to me at that too. Like I'm talking my father, sisters and shit. Like I do got some Chinese looking motherfuckers in my family. But that just come from us being fully American. You know what I'm saying? My bloodline being kind of fully American, and like I guess like we got that shit mixed in us or whatever.
Yeah, you might be a foreigner, bro.
I know I got King George. I know King George.
You might be a foreigner, bro.
No, I'm not. Don't play with me, nigga. I ain't no foreigner, nigga. I'm from red. I'm from here. I know
You
for a
got
fact I got
Chinese blood, goddamn German blood.
I
What
got
else you got?
everything. Yeah, I got everybody. Nah, for real though. This all no funny. Like for real. I got I'm not in my house right now, but I'll show you some pictures later. I always wondered about that, like them dark skinned mongoloid looking motherfuckers.
Nigga, you ain't got no dark skin mongoloid in your family, nigga.
No, I got it. I swear to
I
God, my
put
aunt Niecy,
$100.
bro.
I put $100. You ain't got
I
one. I
swear to
cash
God,
out
I
you
wish
right
I had
now.
my
They better look
motherfucking
just
joint.
like them. Hair follicles and everything. I got you $100
I
right
swear
now.
to no, she got not be hit. No, my aunt Niecy look real loud, look like a
Oh
motherfucking
shit.
mongoloid. I swear to nigga, I'm just saying she look like one. I ain't saying she is. I'm just saying he gone, he ran. See, that's what I'm saying. The nigga turns around. I'm saying she look like one. I ain't say she is. And I'm saying that we might got this shit. The way this shit was going on back then, niggas was mixing.
No, we never mixed with Asians. None of my family members ever mixed with Asians.
Nah,
We
all
don't
right,
even
well now
talk to
we,
them.
but I'm just
We
saying.
don't be in
All
our
right.
family. They ain't been in our family reunions.
Like
They ain't at the cookouts. I ain't seen them at a funeral. I ain't seen them nowhere.
No, I'm talking about
I
just
ain't seen
one.
them in
I'm
I ain't
talking
seen them
about
in
one
old
aunt,
school
AP.
yearbook
One
pictures.
aunt, nigga,
I ain't
one
seen them in
aunt.
school pictures. I ain't
One
seen them
aunt,
at
nigga.
the motherfucking park
This
at the
nigga
fair.
go,
We
hey.
don't mix with Asians, G. That's a
I'm
fact.
talking about one aunt, bro. This is a couple, just one aunt for real. That look real loud like
Y'all
like
might
this
have
nigga.
mixed with some Cambodians in the 2000s or something. Like, nah, I'm talking about historically.
Nigga, she
Your mama,
did
your
look like
grandmama,
that.
they not fucking around. Trust me.
Nah, you go on my Facebook page and see
The
my
most
grandma.
the only people
You
we
can see my
commonly
don't
mix
all right,
with
don't
is
say my
white
grandma,
people.
nigga.
That's who you might have
She
on
don't
your
look
line. So
mongoloid. She
you
don't
might
look
got some
mongoloid.
white people.
She look Native. I mean, she look American. She look indigenous American, or Aboriginal, whatever you want to call it.
Nigga,
My
you trying
grandma
to say your
looked that.
peoples look
But
Native
I'm saying
American.
my aunt. I just got one aunt that look like that. But she not dark skin, she light skin, but she do like you see her, you be like, oh no, she look Chinese. Like what the fuck? Like I
Nah,
got one aunt, just one aunt.
I
That's
bet
all
you
I'm
don't.
saying.
I
Nigga.
bet you
Chill
don't.
out.
I got $100.
All right, I'm gonna show you the picture. All right, I'll show you the picture later on. I don't got it
Right.
right now. I ain't in my house, but I got you. I could go right and get it right now for real, but I don't feel like doing all that.
You ain't got no damn mongoloids in your family, G.
I didn't say that, nigga. I said she looked. I got one aunt that looked. You'll be like, what the fuck? I'd be like, yo, she look Chinese. That's
Just
a joke
because
in the
they
family.
like, you
That's a
gotta
joke
look
in the
at the
family. We always
pheno.
say she look Chinese.
Listen,
That's a joke.
phenotype is a motherfucker, G. We gotta get out of them shades. Everybody dark, goddamn.
He
No,
That's
she
a
said
not
law.
he
dark
said
skin.
she
She
looked
light skin. She
Chinese,
just
like
look
she
like a
probably didn't
Chinese
come off the
motherfucker.
Magellan trade from the Philippines or something. Like I don't get that.
All right, yeah, there you go, Reese. She look like Filipino, I guess, but she look
I didn't
Asian. Like
say
you,
Filipino. I'm just saying you gotta understand the different phenotypes because it's easy to say Asiatic, but a lot of Asiatic people look like us.
Talk to
So where
him.
did the phenotypes come from?
all right, well that's cool, bro. I'm not saying that we look like. I'm not big. I'm not. Look, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just joking.
You
Like
just
she
keeping
look
it 100. We
Chinese.
respect that, bro. You just keeping
Yeah,
it a
she
buck.
look Chinese. That's only one aunt, bro.
Nah, we're
Everybody
not
else
we're
look
not debating.
regular.
Yeah,
If I can
Yeah,
show
we
y'all the
ain't
yeah, we
ain't
picture,
just
nobody
y'all be
saying where
like,
against
did
it.
they come
yo.
from.
Dawu, I respect it, but I feel like you just want to be Chinese a little bit. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Nigga,
You
I
feel
don't
like
look nowhere near. I don't look nowhere near Chinese, bro. Don't do that, bro.
Hey,
I
Big
don't
AP,
look
he
nowhere
on
near
this Wu
Chinese, bro.
Let
Tang.
me see. You
He
look a
got
little,
wood.
you look
36
a
chambers.
little Asian a little bit. Just a
No, I
little
don't. Fool.
Asian.
No, I don't. Y'all are capping now. Y'all just saying anything. Fuck out of here.
Now
I
we
don't
Nothing
just
look
to the
gonna
nowhere
say
near.
36.
that
Nothing to
Wu.
36 chambers.
Fuck out of here. Y'all niggas trapping. I don't look nowhere near Chinese. But my aunt do. She real live look like a
I know
motherfucking
you don't look like
Asian.
a Chinese,
All
nigga.
right, then, nigga, stop
That's the
saying
joke, nigga. He's a nigga. He's a Negro. That's the
that. I
point.
know, nigga. I know, and
And I bet your
I love
auntie
every
look
bit of
like
my
one
nigga.
too.
Hey, I love every bit of my nigga looking features. I love this shit. But I'm saying it's a joke in our family that one of my aunts, my father's sister, she look Chinese, bro. If you see her, you'll be like, oh nah, she dead now. But if you see her, you'll be like, oh nah, she look Chinese. Like what the fuck? Like you'll be wondering, like what? Like how the fuck you look Chinese?
She had some American exotic features is what you want to highlight. But
Yeah.
we'll get to these exotic features that's memorializing distinctive characteristics
Oh,
of
Dion said I'm getting
Aboriginal
mad. I'm
races.
not getting mad. I'm not getting fucking mad.
Yeah, they try to hide and disguise the Southeast Woodland. But I'm about to watch this AP. I'm about to mute my mic, but watch what I show you next.
Peace. Yeah, for sure. You saw good. You already know. Hey, Terrence McMillan, I'm sorry. I know you fell off. You were supposed to be displaying some of the information. I don't know if
Oh well, I'm on my phone, but
Oh well, don't worry about it, man. If you're not on your phone, maybe next time I catch you on your laptop. It's all good. I keep that in mind though. Some of those sources though.
yes, sir. But I have the pictures that I have of them. Like I can name them, and you could look them up if you wanted to. But it's your show. It's up to you.
Shit's all good. We just keep the bill. It's all good. You can keep it building though. You got the flow right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's called "The History of New Spain," and it's talking about when they first got here to the West Indies. One of the things they mentioned about these peoples and the Caribs was the name Carib itself, and they talked about the origin of it, and they said that this was the name of the ancient sea people in the Mediterranean, and then it became Caribbean.
That's dope.
And then there's another record.
You said what now?
Voyage description of the Isthmus, I think it's called, of America. Is that how you pronounce it? Isthmus.
The Isthmus.
Isthmus.
Yeah, I believe so. You kind of break it up a little bit too, bro. Yeah, your phone acting crazy. I'm trying to get what his point is because he's breaking up. I don't want to take anything out of context. It's a good build though. Root words. You should hop on the panel, bro.
I broke up. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, now you kind of back. You back. You can repeat what you said.
It's called the record is called A New Voyage in description of the Isthmus of America. I think it's pronounced.
Okay.
Isthmus. Isthmus. And it says that when the conquistadors got here in the in the Gulf of Mexico, they started talking about the names of these places. Like when they named Panama, it was named after Pan. And Guatemala, Buddha, that was his last name, Buddha Guatemala. And then his mother's name was Maya. And it's not a coincidence that all these names were right by each other to show you where these people really were.
You saying they was already in the islands?
Yes, sir. And the Mayans, a lot of their their traditions, their customs, their festivals, how they dress, everything was very similar to the people in the place we call India or Hindustan.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. Because it's kind of hard to say that the peoples come from a particular place when the origins of the Mayan, the Olmec, steles tell you their origins is a lot farther back than that.
Well, the thing that they did was they taught us from the narrative we were given in the 21st century is that these people were originally in the Eurasian Peninsula when they were never there. They were always in the Americas, and that's what the Olmecs were like. They didn't travel from
So you saying the Olmecs and the Mayans come from the islands?
No, I'm saying the Phoenicians were never in Africa. They were always in America. That's what the Olmecs always were. That always these people. They were never in Africa. So they were.
Who the Olmec?
I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
You said the Olmec was never in Africa? I'm just trying to make sure.
No, I said the Phoenicians were never in Africa. They were always in the Americas, and that's
who was. I couldn't hear you. You getting low right there when you saying that last part.
Oh, is my mic? Is my mic?
Yeah, your mic is like real low, G. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're a little better.
Okay. Oh, I said the Phoenicians were never in Africa. They were always in the Americas, and that's what the Olmecs were. So they would have never had to travel from Africa because they were never there to begin with. They were always in the Americas. And another interesting thing is the name Inca, the Incas, that name comes from the Sumerian god Enki. And the name Peru, if you look up another record called in Egyptian.
But see, I don't believe that though, because when you get into the origins and the historical narrative of civilization and sciences, it predates a Sumer. So you can't oppose that one gets his name and origin from Sumer when that place is older than the Sumer. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would look at it from the opposite perspective. Because when you get into even in Sumer, you have the zoo types that memorializes America. You also have certain renditions on high relief carvings that highlights America as well. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying maybe we should look at it from a different perspective.
I agree, but I was just showing the firsthand accounts of what the conquistador said. Like there was another conquistador who wrote a record about the Indians in Florida, Verrazano. He said in the 1500s that they were black and they dressed like the Egyptians. He said they spoke the same language as them. But that's a letter. I mean, you can look it up. It's called A Letter from Verrazano. He wrote it to the King of Spain, and I think it was the early 1500s, mid 1500s. And you think about how they named.
You also got Father Crespi, who came later on and did work and found statues that they would classify as Mesopotamian and all Egyptian artifacts in one area in the mountains of Ecuador. And they also have evidence and artifacts of those as well. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's mainly it. I mean, obviously we know. I mean, they already proved that they were black, but it's just to try to show who they were in the times of antiquity, because that's really what they
To
here
show who was
the Aborigines.
Yeah. No, they know they know exactly who they are. That's hidden in the records.
Because a lot of them weren't brand new people. And
When you go into the pre-Columbia oceanic voyages, which is a good book, it goes into explain detail to what we had here, what we used to advance civilization, and what they could use to take back to their countries and helps advance their civilization. There's documentations of each and every little thing that was taken from America and documented to each country that received resources from it, whether it was grass, rocks, or whether it was food and vegetables, or even dogs. You feel me? Henny, uh, uh, all kind of shit. You see what I'm saying? So there's documentations of that.
And I just have one more thing to say. It was mainly to hide the fact that these people weren't just people running around in teepees. They were highly civilized, and they said these people, they had structures built. Cortez said he saw nothing like he saw in Spain when he got to Teotihuacan. Nothing like he saw nothing like he saw in Spain when he got here. Like, it was insane. They had buildings made of marble. Like, they had palaces with hanging gardens like Babylon. Like, it was insane.
Hey, so listen, when you go to certain shit in America, right? You can read in encyclopedias right here what I'm about to highlight. This is pre-contact, right? So this is pre 1492. And in the northeast area, what is now United States, right? You had 20-foot long apartments were considered private, with two families living across from each other, sharing the same cooking fire. So similar like a duplex residence. So you even had these thousands of years ago, or hundreds of years ago, if you will, in America.
And they said they had bridges. They said they had highways like we have today. They had mega mansions. They had they have skyscrapers, and a lot of that is what they hid from us. You know how highly civilized these people were, and I don't want to go too far, but a lot of people stated that they had the blimp. That's how they were able to draw the map like of their land. Like like you got to think about that. How can you draw a map of your land eagle-eyed when you're on the ground? Like you got to think about that.
That's the mastery and masonry of landscaping, because you got to understand our ancestors. They mastered the sea, air, and land. That's how you got your 360 degrees that make up the globe or the map that you have today, because our ancestors mapped all of that out. Don't let nobody fool you. And the balloon, especially like a hot air balloon or a specific type of balloon, is a way that they could rise above the tree level or sit above the tree level and draw everything out. So whenever they were on the top of them temples, they could necessarily see everything because of the mathematics. You had a temple here, you had a temple over there, and you had a temple there, and the structure of
What's today's
those
mathematics?
stars, in the structure of those stars and the star force. So this person would draw what they saw coming went forth the east, the west, the north, and the south. And when they put those pieces of paper together or those structures together, that's the map or the prioritization of creating said, it's not that hard to figure it out. We're just trying to think a little too
Facts,
hard,
yo. Facts.
but this information right here is so easy to dissect, because when you're on a highway and you're going across certain underpasses, always notice if you're eye length with the top of trees. Because
Fact.
if anytime you're at the top of a tree, how can you see what's beneath if you don't already know what's down there? So obviously you had to survey that land down below before you went up top, hence the mounds. That's why our ancestors built those mounds, and they built temples on
It's a
top of those
fact.
mounds. Like, this information ain't hard to dissect. It's just that people are trying to apply pseudoscience, and that's what keeps us from understanding the truth of the information that we've been finding. As long as we stick with the findings of this information, and we got enough people who are willing to do the legwork and the groundwork, because there are people out there that are looking into this information. Like, they're going to these sites, they're taking videos, and they're sharing this information with us. That's what we need. We don't need someone doing a Google search and trying to make themselves an analytical scholar of Googling something, when we know it's easy to Google, but it's better to just go there and get the dynamics of everything that we need. Because unless you've walked up, like even here in the DMV, like when you get to Virginia, if anybody ever went to Jiffy Lube, where they have uh, concerts, you know for a fact when you park your car, you walk up a mound. That joint is so high, you don't even realize you're walking up a mound. And then when you get to the top, that's where they have the concerts at in Northern Virginia. It's called the Jiffy Lube Arena. I think it's called the Arena, but it's not a stadium. It's just you walking up a mound, and then when you get up top, they have the stadium complex over there in the corner, and you can feel yourself walking down the hill to that stadium complex. And I've been up here for roughly over a decade, and I can tell you it's a lot of mound work in the DMV. And I'm still finding stuff every time that I'm researching. So just know our ancestors are some powerful beings, man, and we need to tap into that energy more than ever.
Yeah.
So no
l-
negative
Let,
energy shall prosper. That's all I always say.
let me add to that. If peace to everyone on the chat. Um, Indians in castles, because there's a misconception if you use the term Indian, there's a misconception that an Indian doesn't relate also to a castle, since we're speaking about architecture. Okay. I got right here a source, old history of Kinderhook. Indians living in castles. And I want to share that because it all relates. If Indians are living also in castles in the 1660s, I mean, does it even matter anymore? Because we covered every phase of architecture. America, North, South, and the Caribbean islands, we all understand is a set group of people, copper colored people. I just want to add something, not to switch the speed, but I think a issue that I think is going on is with the disconnect, what happened during Reconstruction. Because we all share information, and the information went left during Reconstruction. And I think the emphasis of where the disconnect, because as I'm going through history, and I can show sources, really between the 1870s and the 1910, the terror that was being put and inflicted upon our people. Okay, because the big question is, why did we stop identifying? Why did a lot of people stop identifying and take the citizen role? Okay, and I mean, I know I want to know. Okay, and I think it's becoming more and more apparent how we were being literally brutalized. 1917, St. Louis. It wasn't a riot. See, I want to talk about kind of that right now. If anybody wants to talk about that, I want to be able to talk about that right now. I mean, if it's not going too left.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, bro. Peace, this Firewater, man, Hawk School. Like it's actually correlating everything we talking about, because, you know, St. Louis is really one of the satellite cities of Cahokia. Man, it was like 200 some mounds over here that they tore down. It's still, it's like it's in the energy is like it's in the universe, bro. Because I was just last night gonna drive down. It's a street called Mound Street down by the river here, and it's nothing but a boulder left of one of the mounds that they tore down. And it's like they just left the boulder there. It had a little plaque identifying it, but the plaque's not even there no more. But they got pictures. You can look it up. It's on Mound Street now, right here by the river. And
Go ahead.
Well,
No,
I was just wanting to say how vast, like they make the Cahokia thing like it's just this mysterious thing, and in actuality, bro, it was like a whole metropolis. Like this motherfucker was bigger than London over here. You know what I'm saying? St. Louis was included in it. You know what I'm saying? Like they used to call the whole they used to call St. Louis Mound City. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, bro, like if I drive down the highway right now, like Big Bro was saying, if I drive down the highway over here where all these mounds used to be, it's a park. So you know the government own it, and it's the hills is so high from the highway, bro. Like you can't even see the houses. You know, they look like they up on hills. You know what I'm saying? But they on top of the mounds.
And I know, and you know what? And I've been to Cahokia, and I've been to East St. Louis.
Yes, sir.
And I've been to Memphis, and I didn't realize that they didn't do anything clever, because all they did is literally go down the coast and up the Mississippi or the Nile or whatever you want to call it, and loop right back around, because they didn't get over. See, there's a disconnect, because that other side of the Mississippi, when I went to East St. Louis and I mistakenly was in St. Louis and said something about, hey, I was in East St. Louis, they told me, don't tell me, don't call, we ain't the same. East St. Louis and
No.
St. Louis is not the same. They got
No.
like really offended.
Yeah,
I'm like,
niggas beef about that, bro. Like it just stopped since I've gotten in my adulthood, but as a motherfucking as a teenager, bro, like nigga, it was a lot of like nigga unnecessary beef. Like me, I go between both sides because I got family on both sides. Like I probably go to the east side down there every day to go to the motherfucking dispensary, to tell you the truth. But the thing is that it did used to be like a beef. You know what I'm saying? What they used to call us, they used to call St. Louis niggas Jimmys. And then the St. Louis niggas used to call East Side niggas river rats. So this how these niggas there used to be a whole beef. You know what I'm saying? I was originally born in Milwaukee, but I moved here when I was like 14.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So since I moved here when I was 14, I didn't really get caught up in a lot of the shit that was here. And of course, I was a Muslim and my grandfather was the imam of the mosque where we lived. So niggas already knew what kind of time I was on even as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm in the hood, it was like I was already in a gang just being Muslim. You know, I had a tribe. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the gangs is for the tribalists. And they just prey on our tribal nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's tribal. That's all it is. It's tribal.
Yeah.
It's
that
tribal.
Muslim shit like a gang, right?
That's why they know they are boundaries. Well, I look at it like this. I ain't gonna say it like I'm not trying to say because it's a religion. Me personally, my view is
that
like
shit like a gang though, bro.
Bro, I think everything.
I'm Muslim too.
Bro.
That's
I think every collective of motherfuckers who, you know what I'm saying, moving on the same kind of vibration, I think it's technically a gang. I mean, when I was a 5%er as a kid, they had us in a gang.
It is. It's a code.
And
look at this.
Tribe,
this is Monk's Mound in Illinois. This is Monk's Mound.
Go ahead. Yeah, I've been on top of there. And
yeah, that's a bad motherfucker. Look at this little dude right here.
Bro,
hey, when you went on top of that hawk school, how was your energy? Let them know how was the energy.
I'm gonna tell you, man, like on some real shit, bro.
It's pretty much a pyramid, man.
Let Hawk School explain how was the energy when he went on top of the
I'm gonna just say, bro, like I don't get into no spooky mystery god type shit. So I'm gonna tell you, like when I went up there, it wasn't all like, oh, I feel this and all that old weird, hippie shit, something, But what I saw, my nigga, was the kingdom. Like I could see the whole kingdom from up there, bro.
Yo, listen. I'm gonna cut you off, but you're telling the truth.
I want to know
because I've been on top of there.
Yeah,
that's the
nigga say you want to know your spirit house.
Yeah, I don't care about the spooky shit. I just want to know your experience when you was on top
of
that.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. My experience. I'm telling you, it ain't no spooky shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like going to a haunted house. You don't feel like you in a haunted house. Like I don't feel a motherfucking house where a nigga got killed and you feel weird. I know what vibe is, but I didn't catch no vibe up there. That's what I'm saying. I'm just keeping it all the way 100. And it ain't that I don't catch vibes, because that's what kept me alive. It's just when you up there, that's not the feeling. It don't feel to me like niggas was up here worshiping and having rituals.
Can I ask you a question?
You're right, brother. They wasn't.
Hey, did you feel like you was on top of the world though when you was
That's
up
what
there?
I felt like, bro. I felt like I was looking out at the kingdom, nigga, like I was on
right.
top, like,
you was on top of the world. That's what
like
I wanted to hear right there, baby.
Bro.
That's
I
all
felt
I
like
wanted
that
to hear.
nigga standing up there, bro.
You hear me? That's all I wanted to hear.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all I wanted to hear.
And that's the truth, bro. I just got
we here to call out the ancestors' work. That's all I'm saying.
I just got chills all over me, bro, because that's what I felt, bro. That's
ancestors' work. We here to carry out the ancestors' work. So that's all I wanted to hear, old school. Because I ain't never been on a mound or like to a particular mound, but I just want to hear your experience. You know what I'm saying? Because I know niggas get spooked out.
My nigga, I
get
never felt chills in my face, bro.
My nigga, let me
face and neck and shit.
Yeah, let me ask something about those mounds. I've been to, can't even count how many mounds I've been to. So I want to let everybody be aware that at these mounds, what they're doing is, it's they're putting the Siberian, I mean, it's bad. They're putting teepees on these sites.
Yeah.
And little huts that you can't even, like, literally you can't even. It's not even a teepee.
It don't go together.
It's literally you can't even stand up in these houses
because they know for a fact that in all the history dealing with the mounds and Cahokia specifically, since we talking about that area, they're talking about longhouses and other style apartments being there.
Yes, that's a fact.
You see what I'm saying? So for them to put a fucking teepee or a doghouse on top of that motherfucker and act like somebody was living in there, that's some bullshit.
You know, they
Yeah,
just want to make
that's
it like we're some
disrespectful.
savages over here.
And
You
it's
know what I'm saying?
impossible. It's
The
literally
Longhouse is one of the
humanly
ancient
impossible to live
type
in
structures that
in
our
the
ancestors
structures
had.
that they're putting at these sites.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
So,
Man, that
Hey,
shit
but
would have
listen,
washed
man.
away,
Hey,
bro. That shit would have washed right down the river, bro. How you gonna have a
I ain't gonna
mud
lie
gutter
though.
on
We on
top of the
about
river?
3 hours. I gotta make a couple runs, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. We in on 3 hours. I appreciate everybody for coming. I didn't know we've been in here that long.
Hey, matter of fact, I want to announce, man. Me and AP, I'm coming back. Me and AP got a we doing a thing, pyramid for dummies 3.0, and we gonna be going into some Cahokia mound shit, and we gonna be building on the mounds in my area. I'm gonna go on the site like Oxay, get y'all some footage that we can play during the whole thing. We gonna talk behind the scenes, get that.
It's gonna be nice. He, House
Yeah,
School
that's
mean
what's
with
up,
the
Hawk
editing
School.
too. So
That's what I'm
don't
talking
get it
about.
twisted.
Welcome back, bro. OG.
And we gonna do the Queen of Mu and the construction of the Egyptian Sphinx. We're gonna do a whole series on that as well.
It's up.
So y'all just be in tune for that.
Oh, and I
Trust me.
just want to let y'all know and let all the viewers out there, because they be trying to come on us, everybody with pseudo this, pseudo that. Well, right now I'm taking cultural anthropology, you know what I'm saying? College shit on these fuck niggas. So I'm gonna get all the, you know what I'm saying? All the formulas and techniques we got to use to show and prove, because at the end of the day, bro, we already win. We just gonna keep our foot on their neck. Try.
That's a fact. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. Elevating to the level. It's a fact. So I want to say peace and blessings to Lil Yos, Rational Mind, Dawood, Hawk School, and everybody else that came on, and all my family and cousins that's in the chat. Drop some fire emojis before we get out of here. We gotta get ready to get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. This was a fire build. We're gonna run this thing back just a little bit. And we're gonna end it with this jammy jam.
Wake up, everybody, don't be no sheep. Freedom ain't free, really freedom is illegal. And we can't get mad at this. Whites act like we can't see their advantages, privileges real. They working in management, low down, dirty, but they calling us savages. They want you to think they above us. All white people are part-time judges. I ain't no racist, but I ain't no sucker. I ain't no African, but they my brothers. Been lied to, I got built up anger. We built everything, still waiting on the savior. Don't call yourself black, please do me that favor. Black tourmaline will protect you from a hater. Listening to your oppressors is dangerous. Gave us a Bible and stole our nation. Said we couldn't read, but we didn't know the language. Kept us on paper because we didn't see the danger. American Indian, keep the religion. Skin copper color look just like a penny. Wanted our land and you called us stingy. Ain't no Democrats there together, pay attention. We got ancestors, but the papers is missing. Kings and queens, we just can't remember. Remember who you are, just like Simba. Now they got our backs, we don't want that in us. George Washington is the ninth president.
Look it up.
United States only 10 square blocks.
Look it up.
White people really the minorities.
Look it up.
Courtrooms don't got authority.
Look it up.
You want me to say stop burdening me. Gave me a strong man, it's really not me. Why you don't keep it 100 with me? Why Trayvon killers still walking around free? Made this song for the truth, don't hate it. History was told in reverse, I've stated. These in the press song.
Peace and love, family. Peace and love, man.
Love Dawood. Get safe, brother.
I enjoy y'all. I really enjoy y'all company, man. Peace and love, man.
It's his story. History is his story.
Look it up.
History is his story.
Big flex on them. Big flexing on these niggas.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Make sure y'all be safe, stay aware, stay vigilant, and stay dangerous. Your brother Alvarez.